RMC, Baek Wohyun, found himself in a deep mess. Apparently there was a game that became a worldwide phenomenon, and it was called Reverse Planet. The game became very popular because of the various themes like dimensional gate, supernatural powers, and invasion wars. Thanks to his friend's recommendation, Baek decides to try out the game, only to find himself stuck in the game world. This is a terrible world where the game has manifested as actual reality, and he has been subjected to inhumane experiments, where he was given test number 62 as his identity. The experiment is named Project Transcendence, and it was for the sole purpose of creating a single transcendent. All those who have been trapped in the experiment have found themselves getting electrocuted and injected with several drugs just to modify their bodies. After undergoing several harsh experiments, Baek happens to be the one who passed the test, while the others died. Unknown to the scientists, Baek harbors a deep grudge, and he plans to survive no matter what it takes so he can have his vengeance. Shortly afterward, Baek and a bunch of other lab rats like him manage to escape their cells. Alarms start going off, informing the guards that Baek and his comrades are trying to escape the facility. They manage to make it far until they run into a terrifying red-headed guard. The guard looks completely confident as he tells them that they have gotten to their final destination. A fierce battle soon erupts, and everything goes dark. By the time everything comes back on, Baek has defeated the guard, and he is the only one left alive. Baek is still crying about what happened when the ghosts of his dead comrades emerge from their corpses and start urging Baek to avenge them. They cry out in pain and anguish until Baek has no choice but to give in. Several years after escaping the lab, Baek is still committed to avenging his dead comrades. Baek unapologetically goes after everyone connected to the lab, but nothing he does ever seems to be enough. His comrades' ghosts continue to haunt, demanding that he avenge them, leaving Baek to wonder just how long he is supposed to continue living the way he is. Baek is venting out his frustration when the status window suddenly opens, and he is given a special mission, which is considered to be a bug fix. He is told to eliminate the head of the Project Transcendence with the promise that he is going to get a chance to return to his original world. Driven by this golden chance that he just received, Baek starts pushing aggressively to get to his target, and soon afterward, he and one of his comrades, Kim Youngjun, who is test number 81, is able to track down the evil dude. With death staring the dude in the face, he demands to know why Baek is coming after him. The manager talks about how Baek has managed to reach transcendence with a human body, which ultimately makes him a superhuman. The manager boasts that Baek is the most successful experiment of the program, and because of this, he promises to give Baek whatever he wants or desires. However, Baek lets the dude know that he is not interested in whatever he is offering as he prepares to end his pathetic life. Seeing just how serious Baek is, he starts screaming again, telling Baek that everything is not going to end with his death. He threatens that the League of Enterprises that he works for never forgives anyone who has crossed them. He threatens that Baek's friends and family would suffer, but Baek ignores him and cuts his throat, ultimately ending his life. Youngjun screams at Baek for killing the dude when they still have things to ask him. While Youngjun is busy screaming out his lungs, Baek is staring at the status window. To his surprise, he is informed that the mission is complete, and he is asked if he would like to return to his original world. Baek's eyes light up in hope when he realizes that he can finally return to his world the moment he presses the yes button. Just as he is about to press the button, his dead comrades appear to him again, demanding to know what he wants to do with them. They start begging him to avenge them by killing everyone involved. However, Baek is tired of everything already, and he knows that he might not get another chance to return to his original world if he misses this one. Baek then tells Youngjun that he is about to return to where he originally came from. But Youngjun assumes that Baek is talking trash, since this is not the first time he has said something like that. With a smile on Baek's face, he tells Youngjun to say sorry to the others for him, and he presses the yes button. Suddenly, Baek wakes up in his room, and it dawns on him that he might actually be back. He picks up his phone to check how much time has passed, but to his surprise, it is the same time that he got dragged into the game. He starts wondering if time didn't pass while he was stuck in the other world. He checks out the mirror to see that his scars and muscles are all gone, as if it were all a dream. However, he can clearly remember everything that happened, which makes him convinced that it wasn't a dream. He believes that there is no way the 10 years he spent in the other world is a freaking dream. He is trying to understand what is happening when he gets a call from someone named Young Nayeon. He doesn't fully remember who the person is, but he knows that the name seems familiar. He answers the call, and a lady's voice yells at him from the other side, demanding to know why Baek has not been answering her texts. She also asks if Baek had forgotten about the plans they have for the night. Baek is confused, and he asks her what she means by this. Nayeon then replies that they are supposed to meet that night. She then promises to send him her location, urging him to show up quickly. After she hung up, it dawned on Baek that Nayeon was actually his closest friend, and in fact, she was the one who urged him to play the game. Beck starts to wonder if she was the one behind what happened, but he doubts this is the case because he still remembers the type of person Nayeon is. He decides to meet Nayeon so that he can confirm if she is truly involved or not. Not long after this, Beck meets with Nayeon, who is so excited to see him. Apparently, this is their first meeting since Beck got admitted. Nayeon then asks him if he is up for a drink, but he refuses because he is scared that he might just do something terrible if he gets drunk. Even Nayeon is surprised that Beck is rejecting a drink. She then suggests that he order food instead. While they are eating, Nayeon asks him if he tried out Reverse Planet because he promised that he would at least do the tutorial. Beck then reveals that he was only able to create his character and then watch the intro. Apparently it was after he did this that he got dragged into the other world. Nayeon is shocked when she hears that all Beck did was watch the intro, and she scolds him, saying he hasn't even played the game. This statement gets Beck pissed because he basically spent 10 years in hell because of the freaking game. Just as he is about to lose it, Nayeon continues talking, revealing that she was excited when Beck promised to try out the game because she was already waiting for him to become a regular on her stream. Nayeon remembers that Beck was a Coliseum ranker, which is another interesting game. Nayeon says people are going to be wild if he ever shows himself on her stream since she is just starting up. It finally dawns on Beck why Nayeon was egging him on to play the game. Beck then asks Nayeon if he promised to feature on her stream, and she replies that he only said he might appear once. When Beck returns home, he decides to check out the origin of the game, and he realizes that it was developed in Silicon Valley, San Francisco. The moment he sees this, he gets tired because there is no way he is going to America to investigate. In addition, everyone is just going to see him as a crazy person if he talks about how he was thrown into another world because of a game. At the same time, Beck knows that it would be dangerous for him if he tried to challenge them, and because of this, Beck decides that he is just going to stay back, since he has managed to escape. He decides to take a step back and just enjoy himself now that he is back in his original world. The next day, Beck then resumes at school just to try and live a normal life. Beck is in class when he suddenly feels the presence of his dead comrades holding on to him and asking him if he has really gone back to the reality he wants. Fear grips him as he turns around, but to his surprise, there is nothing there. Just as he is about to relax, he realizes that the whole class is filled with ghosts of his comrades begging for vengeance. In no time, the whole class realizes that something is off about Beck. Beck rushes out of the class to try to clear his head. Suddenly, he feels something touching him from behind. He frantically reacts thanks to his trauma, and just as he is about to carry out a kill move, he realizes that the person touching him is one of his classmates. The dude is surprised to see this and he asks Beck what the hell is wrong with him. Beck apologizes, telling the dude that he was only startled. Later that day, Beck sits on a public bench to think about his messy life. While he is there, the ghosts keep on showing up, urging Beck to avenge them. Suddenly, Nayeon shows up, asking him what is wrong because he looks absolutely terrified. Beck replies that there is nothing going on, and Nayeon decides to back off, but she urges Beck to talk to her if he ever needs help. Beck then returns home with the realization that he brought the ghosts to reality himself, and he figures out that he is never going to be free until he has satisfied them. Since he is already going through hell in the real world too, Beck decides to go back into the other world and put an end to everything once and for all. With this, he climbs back into the game capsule and logs into the game again. By the time he opens his eyes, he finds himself in the research lab lobby, leaving him wondering why he didn't end up in the other world. He is pissed that after he made the decision to return to that other world, he was thrown into the game world. Trying to calm down, he decides to go through the tutorial first because he might just get the chance to return once he is done. He saves his character settings and then sets his combat correction to 0% since he fought in that other world without combat correction. Beck is also asked if he would like to choose his core ability, which he can obviously change at any time. When talking about abilities, the game is set up in a way that, after choosing a core ability, one can strengthen their character through elements. At the same time, the setup of a player's core power and elements is called a build. In fact, there is a wide variety of elements in the game that, even in the professional league, there were professional builders who thoroughly researched builds. Beck remembers that the reason he was able to achieve the metahuman stage is thanks to one particular ability, and this is the same ability he chose again. After he is done with this, he is surprised that he is not thrown into any gruesome room. He is then told to proceed to a certain room where he finds a robot called an Etanel. Etanel is a killing machine that was developed to stop those who awakened and went berserk during the Project Transcendence. The Etanel machine is so dangerous and effective that it has killed a bulk load of test subjects already. On his first mission, he is told to destroy the Etanel standing in front of him by using his ability. Taking a closer look at the machine, Beck wonders if it is the first version of the robot. Nonetheless, Beck doesn't want to bother himself with this because he has seen that researchers commit inhumane acts no matter where they are. With this in mind, Beck angrily goes after the Etenel, and even though it has an annoying ability, Beck is able to easily overwhelm the robot because, in the end, it is still the first version. After breaking the Etenel apart, he is informed that the test has come to an end. Meanwhile, the researchers are carrying out their usual inhumane tests. Suddenly, the alarm goes off, warning the facility of a potential intruder from the government. A voice soon echoes through the sound system, urging all the oppressed victims who are locked in the lab to force their way out. When Beck hears this, he realizes that the voice sounds familiar, and just then, he is given another quest, which is to escape the facility. Chaos immediately erupts in the facility with everything coming down, and Beck makes a run for it. While running through the corridors, he spots a wounded agent who is working for the Dimensional Management Bureau, and he immediately figures out that he is not an enemy. The wounded agent also figures out that Beck is a victim who is trying to escape. The agent then tells Beck that he can help him. With a click of a button on his phone, he opens the armory for Beck. He also hands him his walkie-talkie, telling him to communicate with this once he is outside so that the Bureau can take him. Just as he finishes saying this, he dies. Beck is ultimately pissed, but he manages to calm himself down with the idea that he is just trying to clear a level inside the game. Burning with anger, he grabs a chain sickle, ready to tear apart the Etenels. Meanwhile, there is also a professional gaming streamer who just arrived at the facility, Kang Soyol. Apparently, this is her first time in the game, and she is not impressed. However, her viewers are trashing her, telling her that she is just bad at the game. Apparently, she only agreed to play the game because a lot of her viewers requested it. Even though things don't look good for her, she still promises her viewers that she is going to dominate Reverse Planet. After going through the character settings, she concludes that she has to pick an overpowered ability, which will help her dominate the game. After she is done picking her supposed core ability, she sets her combat correction to 50%. Basically, this is an assistance system that helps the player with stance, movement, and ability usage in combat. The higher the percentage, the more assistance the player will receive. However, her viewers start demanding that she finish the tutorial level with the combat correction set to 0. Soyul thinks over it for a minute, wondering if it is possible for her to clear the tutorial without any combat corrections. According to the research she did, she remembers that no one has ever set their combat correction to 0. Even though she is already familiar with indie games, Soyul doesn't think she still has a chance at clearing the level with her combat correction set to 0. She is about to make up her mind when a viewer gives her a quest to clear the tutorial level with 0 combat correction. The viewer makes it good by promising her 500,000 won if she can. The money immediately changes her stance, and she starts talking about how real streamers try at least once. Her viewers cannot believe just how fast she changed her mind after seeing the amount of money that was offered. They start calling her a money grubber, but Soyul doesn't mind because she just got the bag. Moments later, Soyul realizes that the game is not as easy as she thought. She gets killed by an Etenel that ambushed her in just 2 minutes into the game. Some of her viewers sympathize with her, telling her that she tried by lasting 2 minutes because even pros find it difficult. Basically, most of the viewers believe that the quest wasn't created for people to defeat the Etenel, which is why they believe that there is no way someone would clear the tutorial level with no combat correction. Soyul then figures out that it is time to escape the facility, since she is done with the Etenel mission. Just then, the system informs her that an automatic party matching has started. Basically, parties consist of 4 people, and the moment Soyul sees this, she is excited that she can get the chance to clear the level with her party members. However, her viewers are not impressed with the fact that Soyul is trying to get help to clear the level. Surprisingly, her first matching attempt fails, but she is desperate, and she expands her search area because Reverse Planet is a popular game that should have a lot of players logged in. One of her viewers then tells her that the matching will not work because the system will only match her with people with the same combat correction percentage as her. And since there is no idiot who would try to clear the level with no combat correction, there is no guarantee that she is going to be matched up. It finally dawns on Soyul that she is screwed, and her viewers don't hold back as they make fun of her. Just as she is about to cancel the mission out of frustration, she gets the notification that her party matching was successful. Soyul jumps for joy as the system informs her that she will be joining the matched player's mission, which is to escape the facility. While trying to find her way to where Beck is, she is left in shock to see Etenels lying destroyed everywhere. Even the viewers don't want to believe what they are staring at. Some assume that whoever the player is a pro, but others argue this, saying even pros can't clear the tutorial without combat correction. In addition, he was able to destroy the Etenels without using a gun. Deep down, Soyul is already excited that she is about to get carried. Exhilarated, she tells her viewers that it is time she goes looking for their mystery player. Moments later, Soyul finds Beck where he is decimating Etenels like tissue. She almost gets cut in half because Beck believes she is an enemy, but he stops at the last second. Beck pulls back his knife, apologizing for almost killing her because he already assumed that she was an enemy. Since Beck is putting on test subject clothes, Soil figures out that Beck is the person she is looking for. Beck turns around to leave, but she stops him, telling him that they are at the same party. She then introduces herself to Beck while mentioning the fact that she is currently streaming. She asks him if he is fine with her streaming everything, but she assures him that his face will not appear because the identifiable information protection mode is on. Soyul is still yapping about all of these when Beck suddenly stops. Before Soyul realizes what is happening, Beck realizes that they are surrounded by soldiers who are there to terminate them. Bullets start flying around, and Soyul covers her head while wondering why the tutorial level is so hard. By the time she raises her head, Beck is already cutting up the guards like meat. The viewers are left in shock because they have never seen someone handle the chained sickle the way Beck is handling it. Soyul hides behind cover, and with no doubt, she could see that everything happening doesn't make a single sense, even though she is just a new player in the game. Soyul then asks her viewers if any of them know the type of ability that Beck is using. While the others are busy saying the wrong thing, one viewer is able to figure out what type of ability Beck is using. He reveals that there is only one core ability that changes a player's eye color and raises one's physical abilities, and this core ability is called the Absolute Being. Soyul is shocked when she hears this because her viewers had initially told her that the ability is trash. Her viewers confirm this, telling Soyul that they are also confused about what is happening. When talking about Absolute Being, it is one of the key pillars of Reverse Planet's countless features. This ability greatly increases physical stats and skill resistance, but it prevents the player from using abilities themselves. Because of the penalties attached to it, the players believe that it is a useless skill. Soyul is left in confusion because she finds it odd that she is not able to use abilities in a game where abilities are key. At the same time, her viewers keep discussing just how trash the skill is. One of them then mentions that the physical buff from the skill might be useful in a fight without stat corrections, and Soyul passively agrees with this. She believes that Beck gave up all of his abilities so he can go all in on physical stats. However, the main issue is that Beck is supposed to be in level 1, which is why his insane movements are a mystery. Moments later, Beck is done clearing out the lobby that was once full of armed guards. However, the ghosts haunting him let him know that they are not even satisfied yet, and they want him to go all out. They let him know that they still want even more brutal revenge from him. Beck is distracted by this, which is why he didn't notice that there is still one more guard left. Just as the guard is about to take the shot, Soyul comes to the rescue. She jumps in and fires a couple of shots to push the guard back into hiding, ultimately saving Beck's life. The guard assumes that they are safe already, but before they know it, Soyul slides over like a proper action figure to take them out with a point-blank shot to the head. The guard crashes to the ground, and Soyul plays it cool by blowing out the smoke on her gun barrel, as if she is the one who did all the work. Some of her viewers waste no time trashing her as they call her a kill stealer for taking the last kill from Beck. Soyul smiles at Beck, asking if she at least helped out. Her face and reaction remind Beck of a younger lady, possibly his sister, but this image gets flooded again thanks to the ghosts haunting him. Seeing that Soyul is trying to guilt-trip herself, Beck lets her know that she actually helped out. Soyul's viewers are impressed when they see this because they believe that Beck is a nice dude who didn't care that Soyul stole his kill. Soyul is happy to hear that Beck is cool with what happened, and she asks him if she is free to continue with him for the rest of the mission. Just as expected, Beck assures her that she is free to. As they continue down the lab hall, Beck finally introduces himself to Soyul to stop her from calling him hard carry. Soyul is left wondering if Beck gave his real name. Soyul then asks Beck if he chose Absolute Being as his first core ability, and Beck reveals that he did. This leaves the viewers in shock, and while some are already debating whether to start using the ability, some believe that there is no ordinary person who can do what Beck is doing. Soyul then asks Beck if he plays any other games, because his reaction time to dodging bullets is incredible. Beck is about to answer when he suddenly keeps quiet, and Soyul asks him what the problem is. Beck then replies that there are 2 etinels about 20 meters ahead. Soyul is shocked to hear this because Beck doesn't have detection abilities, but he can still identify how far enemies are and how many of them are there. Beck then tells Soyul that they should keep moving, assuring her that she has nothing to worry about. Surprisingly, they run into the etinels, and Soyul cannot believe that Beck was actually right. While walking up to the etinels, Beck talks about the game he enjoyed playing back in the day, which is Colosseum. The etinels make a move on him, and Soyul is still telling him to be careful when he has already reacted to the attacks. Beck then lands a massive counterattack to immediately smash one of the etinels into the wall. He goes after the second, while revealing that he was a ranker when he was playing Colosseum. Beck smashes the second etinel to scraps, and the revelation that he was a ranker in Colosseum finally tells the viewers why he is cracked. Even Soil didn't know that Coliseum is a big deal, and the OGs in the chat start to reveal that pro gamers in Coliseum are cracked. In fact, there is a particular ranker, battler in Coliseum, who is also cracked in Reverse Planet. When Soil hears this, she opens her mouth in shock because Battler is the biggest player in the Reverse Planet pro scene. The viewers start wondering if Beck faced Battler when he was a ranker. They also waste no time imagining what would happen if Beck faced Battler on the current stage. Moments later, they arrive at the tutorial's final mission, which is to defeat the redhead guard, who is the tutorial boss. Beck is surprised when he realizes that everything up until that moment is a tutorial. While staring at the tutorial boss, all he can see are the ghosts of his comrades, demanding justice. The tutorial boss then makes his move, but Soil fires a couple of shots at him, aiming to stop him. Surprisingly, there is a barrier around the tutorial boss, which ultimately blocks the bullets. Soil's viewers make fun of her for trying to shoot her way out of everything. Scared of dying, she retreats and leaves everything to Beck. Beck then gets into a battle stance against the tutorial boss as he unleashes a barrage of blows aiming to satisfy the ghosts. With a single powerful punch, Beck sends the boss flying into a wall, thus destroying his barrier. In anger, the tutorial boss activates a powerful skill with the goal of taking out Beck with just one punch. The viewers believe that Beck is going to suffer a great deal if he allows the blow to hit. Beck manages to dodge the first strike, but the boss transforms his arm into a spike, aiming to impale Beck. Beck dodges this again, but the wall suffers the damage instead. At this point, the viewers are left in awe because none of them have been able to dodge all of the boss's hits, even with combat correction turned on. Just then, Beck manages to land a left hook on the tutorial boss to send him to his knees. Once the boss is incapacitated, the ghosts appear again, urging Beck to tear the boss to shreds and kill him. With fear written all over his face, the tutorial boss starts asking how it is possible for a test subject to be that powerful. Beck then replies that it is all thanks to him. With this, Beck crushes the tutorial boss and he gets the notification that he has defeated the lab security chief. Soil, who is watching from behind, can only open her mouth in awe. Even the viewers don't want to believe what they just witnessed. Soil then suggests that they leave, since they are done, and Beck agrees. The moment they step outside the lab, the two get the notification that they have finished the tutorial mission. Beck is awarded 1 skill point as a reward for clearing the mission. Soil then asks Beck if he is going to continue with the quest that day, but he says no. Soil then urges Beck to wait a bit because she has something for him. Before revealing what it is, she decides to end the stream. And even though the viewers don't want the fun stream to end, they have no choice. After closing the stream, Soil asks Beck if he would like to join her daily streams. Beck demands better insight, and Soil explains that she plays for the Reverse Planet main quests and sometimes does player versus player. She assures Beck that she is going to give him a heavy appearance fee, while also scheduling the stream when it is convenient for him. Beck then thinks about it for a bit before refusing the offer. Just by his expression, Soil realizes that she has no chance at convincing Beck. Instead, she asks if she can add him as a friend, and he agrees to this. Before logging out of the game, she lets Beck know that it was fun playing with him. After Soil is done, Beck starts to wonder why he didn't return to the other world since the tutorial mission is done. Unknown to him, there is something massive that is going to happen thanks to the incredible gameplay that he just displayed. Meanwhile, a community manager is already cooking up an article to label Beck a hacker. At the same time, Anonymous Viewer 62 sent Soil $3,000 as a gift for Beck. The entire office of the Korean branch of Planet Earth, the developer of Reverse Planet, was left in chaos the next morning because of a single player, and this was Beck. This was basically an unprecedented event in the history of the company. They have watched the replay of Beck's gameplay over and over again, and each time they have been left in awe. Because of this, there is already a rumor flying around in the online community that Beck is using hacks. They are basically filing complaint after complaint that Beck is using hacks. The team leader asks his colleagues if they have checked everything to confirm that Beck is clean, and they let him know that Beck is good to go. Apparently, they have checked everything down to when the character was even created. With everything that they have seen, there's been no evidence that there was tampering or external program usage. They mention that they have seen some hackers over the years who can walk through walls or move like a transparent ghost, but Beck's movement has completely left them racking their brains like freaking idiots. They start concluding that what they saw was completely impossible because even hacks cannot give the kind of precision that Beck had. During the discussion, one of them mentions that it might be a new hack that they have not heard of in the past. Since they are confused about what is going on, the team leader suggests that they have a proper verification. Later on, Beck meets with Nyan, and this is when he learns that the online community has been left in chaos because of him. In fact, people have started a no-modification challenge, but none have been successful in doing what Beck did. Nyan reveals that she was also shocked when she saw the video. Beck then asks her how she was able to recognize him because he was wearing a mask to protect his identity. Nayeon reminds him that he mentioned his name, and she also recognized his fighting pattern. Nayeon admits that Beck's movement was insane, and for those who don't know him, they are definitely going to believe that he is hacking. Beck replies that he finally understands why he was contacted. Nayeon immediately becomes curious, asking Beck who contacted him. She freaks out when she hears that Planet Earth was the one who contacted him because they wanted to carry out a proper investigation to figure out if he is hacking or not. Beck reveals that he actually got the message via Soil. Nayeon lets Beck know that the company intervening in the situation themselves means it is going to gather a lot of attention. She then asks Beck if he has any plans to submit himself for investigation. Beck then replies that he is going to do it. This is because he knows that this might be his only chance to get on the inside and find out what exactly is going on. Nayeon commends his decision, telling him that it is better he clears the air rather than having the title hacker slapped on him everywhere he goes. Beck replies that he doesn't really care about that, but he is still going to do it anyway. In addition, he doesn't think people are going to recognize him, since he didn't show his face throughout the stream. Nayeon then lets him know that even with the fact that he has a different appearance, his fighting style remains unique. She adds that pros don't even fight without abilities the way Beck does. She mentions that pros usually have their identities leaked out because of their fighting style. Beck is surprised to hear just how obsessive people are. Nayeon then tells Beck that it is a good thing that he is going ahead with the investigation, because Soil would have been the one to get roasted for it. Beck is surprised to hear this because Soil doesn't even know her, but Nayeon tells him that the mob doesn't really care about that. She reveals that they are going to come after him first, but they are going to end everything on innocent Soil. Realizing just how delicate the situation is, Beck texts Soil, telling her that he is going to cooperate with the investigation. Soil is exhilarated when she gets the text because she knows that her viewership is going to skyrocket with the hype that comes with Beck's participation. Without wasting time, Soil sends out a message to her viewers about an upcoming stream to clear Beck's name. 4 days later, Beck meets with Soil in the game. Soil apologizes for the stress that Beck is going through because of her, but he assures her that he has no worries about this. Beck then asks Soil if she doesn't suspect him. Soil replies that she saw his movements that day, and with what she saw, she believes that people's claims are weak. Deep down, Soil could see that Beck appeared like a deranged killer, and there was no way a hacker would have that kind of expression. Instead of telling him this, Soil just tells him that she is following her instincts. With Beck's permission, Soil then starts the stream. The viewers are all excited the moment Soil comes online because they have all been waiting. They are all waiting to see if Beck is truly hacking, but some promise to stay neutral until the investigations are complete. Soil almost loses her mind when her viewers count jumps to 10,000 in just a minute. This tells her just how much people want to know about Beck and if he is truly hacking. The camera pans to Beck and he introduces himself, but most of the people on the stream are hostile towards him because they have all concluded that he is hacking. Soil had to tell them to chill out, or she would disable the chat option. Soil then asks Beck what he thinks about the whole thing, and he replies that he believes that the whole accusation is totally ridiculous. Saying this only makes some of the viewers go crazy more, as they believe that he is pretending. Soil then reveals that they have invited a special guest for the verification, and just then, the said person shows up. The dude then introduces himself as Park Gumihun, and he is the operations team manager of Planet Earth in Korea. The viewers are surprised to see that an operations manager was brought on the stream just to prove that Beck wasn't hacking. On the other hand, Beck is already thinking of questioning the dude after the whole verification process because he believes that he knows something. At the same time, Park is totally interested in what would come out of the verification process. After they are done with greetings, Park tells them to follow him to the verification area. Park then leads them to a private training room, which players use to practice abilities or combat. Park mentions that they are going to conduct multiple combat tests to check for external program assistance. Before they start, Park asks Beck if he consents to the test, and Beck says yes. With Beck's approval, Park unveils a new type of bot, which is a mid-tier bot. This comes as a shock to the viewers because the mid-tier bot is way stronger than the Etinels at the tutorial level, and they believe that there is no way Beck is defeating something like that. Park tells Beck that they are going to start with the mid-tier training bot. Deep down, Beck's ghosts are already active, and Beck has turned into a rogue dog. Before Park could finish giving the go-ahead, Beck had gone after the bot. He crushes the bot so hard that the viewers are left questioning how he was able to do this to a mid-tier bot. By the time Beck is done with the bot, the viewers are left pitying the robot. Park stares at the analysis tablet in his hands, and he can clearly see that there is no sign of a hack anywhere in what just happened. Beck finally lets go of the bot to tell Park that he is done. Park can clearly see the bot dismantled, so he knows he is done, and he tells Beck that they were not able to detect any external programs in the battle. He then claims that the verification duration was too short, and he asks Beck if he would be willing to fight in the method that they specify. Beck says yes, and he knows that they are trying to figure out if he is not using an autopilot cheat. Talking about an autopilot cheat, it is a fundamentally proxy control system operated by a program. Due to this, it cannot perform combat exactly as the user wants. This means if one decides in advance how they are going to win the fight and fight according to the plan, one can prove that they are not cheating. Park then tells Beck that he is going to have to slash the heads of 3 intermediate training bots with his chain sickle, and Beck agrees to this. Park is surprised that Beck agreed to this even though it is completely disadvantageous to him. Without wasting time, the bots are unleashed and their first coordinated attack forces Beck to jump backwards to dodge. However, his counterattack takes off the heads of the bots all at once. While Park is staring in confusion and disbelief, Soil is rejoicing because everything is working out in her favor. Even the viewers are left in shock, and some think the chain sickle is broken, but others disagree because they know that the wielder is the only one who can bring out the true potential of a weapon. Even at this point, Park knows that he has collected enough data for verification, but deep down, Park wants to know if Beck can win against the advanced level training bot with only one core ability. Even though he is pretty aware that he is being greedy, he still wants to know. Park then tells Beck that there is one more test. Just then, a scary bot emerges into the training room. The viewers are surprised and pissed that Park is crossing the line. However, they also know that the organization has no choice but to acknowledge Beck if he manages to win against the bot. The advanced bot is pretty dangerous because it is the later and improved version of Etanel, but seeing the bot only increases Beck's bloodlust. Beck can also see the bot giving him an annoying smirk, and this increases Beck's urge to finish off the bot. The bot then makes the first move as it comes after Beck, unleashing a series of scary blows. Beck manages to dodge all of them, and he admits that the bot is pretty dangerous. In addition, he is able to land a blow, which helps him to assess the hardness of the bot's body. Seeing that he can't damage the bot, Beck comes to the conclusion that he is just going to beat up the bot until damage builds up. Everyone watching is left in disbelief as Beck moves around the bot while delivering fatal blows to its body. Park is left dumbfounded because he didn't expect the bot to be on the losing side when it looked like the bot was the one winning the battle earlier. Realizing that Beck is just going to finish off the bot with the way things are going, Park quickly ends the session, telling Beck that he has collected enough data for verification. Soil then asks Park what the result says, and Park subtly replies that with everything, it has been confirmed that there is no external program involved whatsoever. To put it simply, Park clears the air, saying Beck is not a hacker. Chaos erupts among the viewers when they hear this. Some still don't want to believe that Beck isn't hacking, but they have no choice since the admin just cleared the air. Even the post that was accusing him of being a hacker has been taken down. Soil then proudly asks her viewers if there is anyone who still doubts Beck or believes that he is hacking. Her viewers reply in unison that they don't doubt him anymore. It turns out that Beck was already generating a famous name, Haxical, because of the whole controversy. Just like a proud mother, Soil tells her followers to never forget that Beck is not a hacker, but a player who possesses mechanical prowess that can be compared to a hack. Soil then tells Beck to tell the people how he feels, and he simply replies with good work, everyone. Since the verification is over, Soil decides to end the stream, and before she did, she was able to garner over 100,000 viewers. Soil thanks Beck for agreeing to show up in her stream, and Park also thanks Beck for willingly accepting the company's verification request. Beck lets him know that it wasn't a big deal. Just as Park is about to leave, Beck stops him, telling him that he has one thing to ask him. Beck then asks him if the game has ever suffered a bug like someone getting stuck in the game for a very long time. Park then tells Beck that he hasn't heard about something like that before, because if it happened, the whole game wouldn't have been popular the way it is. Beck agrees with him, and once they are done, Park logs out of the game. After he is gone, Soil asks Beck if it would be okay to contact him later because she is planning to share the stream revenue with him. Beck then replies that Soil can call him when she wants. Deep down, Soil knows that she can't just let Beck go easily because he is a living, breathing clip farm. Soil knows that she can't tell Beck to come on her stream again because he only accepted this time around because he needed the chance to clear the air. Trying not to ruin their relationship, Soil decides to take a step back, and she tells Beck that she is going to call him next time. After Soil is gone too, Beck expresses his disappointment that he wasn't able to get all the information that he needed. Just then, he gets a text from Nayeon telling him that she is going to meet him in the battle prep room. Moments later, they meet up at the prep room, and Nayeon asks him how the stream was because the community is going crazy. Beck replies that the lifestyle doesn't suit him because he would have to keep an eye on what the viewers are saying while he is playing the game. Nayeon immediately uses this as her opportunity to sneak in her plan. She asks Beck if he would prefer to play the game and not care about the viewers. She promises to set everything up, and she urges Beck to make his decision after he tries it. Deep down, Beck is not even interested in anything streaming, but he doesn't tell Nayeon yet. Nayeon then suggests that they engage in some player versus player action. This is a game mode where players compete against each other, and it is one of the two biggest game modes in Reverse Planet, along with the player versus environment mode. Beck is surprised to hear this, and he asks Nayeon if this is why she called him to the prep room. Nayeon affirms this, saying there is no way Beck leaves without playing Reverse Planet with her. Beck replies that he generally doesn't like the game, but Nayeon urges him not to judge just after playing the tutorial. She assures him that PvP is the core content of Reverse Planet. Beck remembers that the story mode, PvE, is similar to the other world, but everything in the PvP seems new. Realizing that there might be something different other than story mode, Beck agrees. Nayeon is happy to hear this, and she offers to explain the game mode to him. The first type is Showdown, where a player has a showdown against matched opponents. There are two modes in this: the 1 versus 1 and the 2 versus 2. In the end, the first to 3 wins the match. There is also Warfare, and this one allows the player to choose a game mode and fight in a team of 5. Nayeon then mentions that the mode that they are going to play is the Battle Royale. This is a mode that pits 100 people across multiple zones. Since it is Beck's first time, Nayeon suggests that they go with a team. She then tells Beck that he is going to need a build to play PvP, and she can recommend one for him. Beck replies that there is no need for this because he knows a good one already. This is basically a build that earned him the superhuman title in the other world. Beck tells Nayeon that she can go online while he gets his build ready, and she agrees. After he's done, Nayeon suggests that they start at the military base, where the high-ranking equipment is evenly gathered. Since high-level players flock to the area, it is not usually a good place for beginners. Nayeon then excitedly asks Beck if she can record the match to upload it on YouTube, and Beck agrees, while wondering why Nayeon is excited about the whole thing. Nayeon is the first to log in, and Beck follows after. He finds himself in the third-floor corridor, and the first guy he runs into suffers the most surprising death. The announcement goes off, and Nayeon is surprised that Beck has gotten a kill already. In no time, Beck has racked up a bunch of kills, leaving Nayeon in total disbelief. In no time, Beck has cleared out an entire area, which is even more surprising to him. Believing that he is done farming, he decides that it is time to get out. Suddenly, he gets a call from Nayeon asking for help because she is surrounded. Beck quickly checks the map to see where she is. He realizes that it is far, but he still lets her know that he is on his way. He asks her where in the building she is located, and she replies that she is on the 3rd floor's rooftop. However, she urges Beck to be careful because she believes that every floor below her has someone in them. Moments later, Beck shows up at the building, and he dashes past the players, giving them little to no chance. One of the players looks at his comrade get eliminated right in front of him, leaving him shaking in fear. He starts wondering if Beck is using a dexterity build among the physical type builds. The player then puts everything he has into his next attack, as he unleashes a massive blast to try and get Beck. However, Beck leaps into the air to dodge, and the next time the player sees him, Beck is already onto him. He screams out when he realizes that he is screwed, and Beck cuts his neck with his dagger. After this, Beck continues unleashing his terror upon the rest of the players he meets on the way. The moment he arrives at the gate of the building, he informs Nayeon. Nayeon is surprised to hear this, and she asks if she should come down, but Beck urges her to stay where she is. Before opening the door, Beck already figures out that there are 5 players lying in wait to ambush him. With this in mind, he steps into the room with a calculated counterattack in mind. The first dude comes charging at him from behind the door, but Beck is more than ready. Beck easily stops the dude by grabbing his knife and then delivering a fatal blow to his chest to finish him off. Beck then figures out that he has to be fast if he wants to get to Nayeon. Without hesitation, Beck dashes into the building and he takes down a bunch of players along the way. Nayeon can see all of Beck's activities, and she can't believe that he is single-handedly dealing with the players. Suddenly, Nayeon senses a presence behind her, and she reacts in the quickest way. She throws a counterattack and almost cuts Beck before she realizes that it was him. Nayeon is surprised to see Beck get to her that fast. At the same time, Beck doesn't even think Nayeon needs his help because she looks like someone who can handle herself. Now that they are together, Nayeon tells Beck that she is going to get serious too, because she doesn't want Beck to take all the credit. Soon afterward, the two finish the game and come out on top. Beck records 25 kills and 7 assists, while Nayeon has 7 kills and 15 assists. After this, they still replayed multiple times, and each time the two won with Beck having the most kills. In the end, Nayeon expresses her shock that they were able to win 10 times in a row. She suggests that they end their game for the day because she is tired already, and Beck agrees. Deep down, Nayeon is already looking for ways to get Beck on her stream because he is a crazy killing machine. Nayeon then asks Beck if he can wait for 2 days without doing his main missions because she will bring him an official by then. Beck then replies that he is really not interested. In addition, he doesn't even care about the main mission. Nayeon is a stubborn one, and she urges Beck to listen to her because she is going to bring an offer that he can't resist. With this, Nayeon logs out of the game and Beck expresses his disappointment that he wasn't able to get any clue from the PvP mode either. That night, Soyeol is seen rolling on her bed because of how successful her stream was. She is so excited that she starts thinking of doing more streams with Beck. However, the problem is that Beck has already refused her offer. Soyeol then decides that it is time to get Beck's share. She then calculates how much they made, and she almost loses her mind when she sees the crazy amount. The next day, Nayeon calls Beck to another meeting. Nayeon shows Beck a PowerPoint that she prepared all through the night in an attempt to persuade Beck to change his mind. She designed the cover like a cat, and Beck cannot believe that this is what Nayeon spent the entire night doing. Nayeon then uses Beck's words against him. Since he said he didn't want to bother himself with what the chat is saying, Nayeon suggests that they make it a reality show. Beck is confused by this, and Nayeon explains that it is a format where multiple cast members gather in the studio to watch the recorded footage of other cast members. Nayeon tells Beck that he will be the one to play the game, while she handles communication. She assures Beck that he is free to bring in some professional casters if she believes that only she is not enough. Nayeon mentions that the profit will be in a 6-to-4 ratio, which she considers a pretty good deal. Even with all of her explanations, Beck maintains his stance that he is not interested. However, Nayeon is not ready to give up as she tries telling Beck the amount of money that can be gained from streaming. She then asks him if he has gotten his share from Soyeol. This is when it finally dawns on Beck that he got an email from Soyeol that morning, but he hasn't checked it because Nayeon called him. Beck decides to open the mail in Nayeon's presence, and when they check it, Nayeon almost passes out when she realizes that Beck's first share is 6 million won. Also in the message, Soyeol tells Beck that she received a funny donation message and she shared it with Beck. While Nayeon is freaking out about the money, Beck is wondering what the message is. Beck then opens the message, and this is when his reaction changes. It turns out that an anonymous viewer 62 has been donating money with a message attached to it. The first one is to tell Beck that it is good to see him again. The second message is asking Beck how he feels coming back to reality. He also adds that he has a special mission for him, and the fact that he would like to see him whenever he is streaming. This is when it dawns on Beck that the person he is searching for knows that he is back. In addition, the username 62 is pointing to the fact that he knows who he is. Beck couldn't contain his reaction as he jumped off the chair, wondering who the person was. Beck immediately asks Nayeon if there is a way he can find out about the donor's information. Nayeon is surprised that Beck is interested in this, but she lets him know that he probably might not find out who it is because of privacy laws. Nayeon adds that Beck wouldn't even be able to send a message to the person unless he communicates with them during the stream. Without hesitation, Beck tells Nayeon that he wants to start streaming. This makes Nayeon the happiest girl on earth, and she tells Beck that he can't take back his word on this. Without wasting time, Nayeon posts the information on her platform, informing the gamers that Beck would start streaming in the coming days. On Friday night, those who are gamers and supposed nerds are already glued to their screens in anticipation of one single event, which is Beck's stream, who is popularly known as Haxical. 5 minutes before the start of the game, Nayeon is very nervous, but her co-presenter and commentator, Cha Sung-chul, tries to calm her down, reminding her that they have practiced several times and everything should be fine. Sung-chul expresses his shock that Nayeon was able to bring Beck onto the stream. Apparently, Sung-chul only agreed to appear on the show when he learned that Beck and Nayeon are friends. Once Nayeon calms down, she starts the stream, and they welcome the viewers on board. Without wasting time, the viewers are already asking for Beck to be brought on board. Nayeon admits that she can understand their frustration about not seeing Beck right away, but she assures them that they are not going to be disappointed because Beck is already in the game and waiting. The moment they set their eyes on Beck, the chat goes wild. Nayeon then tells the viewers that the show is going to proceed in the form of a reality show. Basically, they are going to be commenting while they watch Beck play the game. Since they are all curious to know how Beck plays Reverse Planet, she tells them that it is time to find out. Once everything is ready, Nayeon contacts Beck to tell him that it is time. The first mission that Beck gets is from the Management Bureau, and he is ordered to rescue survivors so that they can safely escape the forest. However, the main mission is for him to join the Otherworld Management Bureau. He is to pass through the guards to reach the bureau. Beck realizes that it is the same as the last time. He remembers that back in the other world he was focused on running away, but this time around, it is entirely different. Just then, Beck lets out a loud scream to attract all of the guards in the area. The moment the guards lock onto his position, they rally around to jump him. Unknown to them, Beck is planning to kill all of them, and his ghosts are already egging him on. Beck immediately whips out the chain sickle and starts decimating the guards. Even their guns turn out to be useless, as Beck unleashes fury on them. Two tries to jump him from the sides, but he catches them with the chain sickle and finishes them off. Without breaking a sweat, Beck turns the guards into fools as he trashes them. Even Nayeon and Sungshul are left in shock because this is not the game that they know. Sungshul confesses that he has never seen a player like Beck before since he started his career as a Reverse Planet commentator. Sungshul says Beck doesn't have a strategy, and he basically just gathered all of the enemies to decimate them. Even the viewers are all impressed by how Beck wasted no time looking for the guards but made them come to him. One of the viewers then donates 50,000 won, talking about how broken the absolute being skill is because it doesn't appear like it has a cooldown. Nayeon then asks Sungshul what he thinks about the absolute being skill. Sungshul explains that absolute being is not overpowered like they think it is, because most skills have their own unique cooldowns. Due to this fact, it might appear that Beck's build is too overpowered, thanks to how he is using it. However, absolute being only enhances the user's physical abilities, but doesn't affect battle intelligence or weapon proficiency. In addition to this, Sungshul mentions that Beck is not even using any buffs. Sungshul then drops his conclusion, revealing that with everything he has seen, he could categorically say that Beck would be able to fight this way in real life if he possessed the same physical abilities. To put it simply, only Beck can bring out absolute being's true potential. Moments later, Beck runs into agents from the Bureau, and they immediately surround him, believing that he is an enemy. The team leader introduces himself as Kim Chul and urges Beck to drop his weapon. Talking about the Otherworld Management Bureau, it is a government agency that terminates invading entities that appear from dimensional gates. Its main task is to trap and eliminate dangerous invading entities inside the inverted world where dimensions mix. Beck then raises his hand, and it appears that he knows Kim Chul, who was a director back then. Looking closely, Chul realizes that Beck is wearing the outfit from the laboratory, which means he is a victim. Chul then apologizes for mistaking him for an enemy. Chul also notices the walkie-talkie in his hands, and Beck reveals that it was given to him by an agent inside the lab. Kim Chul expresses his sadness that the agent died, and Beck realizes that Kim is just as he remembered him in the other world. Kim then tells Beck that he will have to stay in the Otherworld Management Bureau until they have confirmed his identity because there are some cases of lab staff impersonating victims. Beck assures Kim that he has no objections to this, and Kim withdraws his men from the forest. With this, Beck completes his mission to meet up with the Otherworld Management Bureau, ultimately earning him a level up and 1 ability point. At the headquarters of the Otherworld Management Bureau, Beck is left in the counseling room, where he never thought he would see again. Beck remembers that in the other world he managed to gather funds for his revenge by taking on requests from a certain firm after escaping the lab. He took on several requests, but the biggest one was the subjugation of Reverse Planet's monsters. This firm in question would order him to clear Reverse Planet in search of spoils of battle, and doing this usually led him to get entangled with the Bureau on several occasions. Apparently, there were times when they cooperated on subjugation missions, but there were also times when conflicts arose, and they would end up pointing their blades at each other. Moments later, a lady enters the room, and she introduces herself as Lee Yujin, who is an affiliate with the first team of the Bureau. The moment the viewers see her, they start talking about her beauty. Basically, she is considered to be one of the most beautiful women in the game. Yujin then sits with Beck to tell him that he has 2 choices. The first choice is for him to live as a normal person under the protection of the Bureau, and in this case, his use of his ability will be strictly prohibited. Then the second option is for him to become affiliated with the Bureau. If he is to choose this option, he's going to be acting as an official agent. After some basic level of training, he will be sent on missions as long as the Bureau concludes that he is ready. Beck remembers that he once killed a Bureau agent in the other world, but now they are telling him to become their ally. Yujin then asks Beck what option he is going to choose. Beck then takes a moment to think about it. He realizes that if he chooses civilian life, he is just going to end up taking corporate contracts just like in the other world. And since he doesn't want to walk that path again, he doesn't think it's the best option for him. In addition, he has always been curious about the Bureau's internal affairs. With this, Beck tells Eugene that he is going to become one of their agents. Eugene is glad to hear this, and she tells Beck that he has made the right decision because joining them will be a great help to them. Eugene mentions that the corporations have been scouting the Awakened in recent times, which has left them short of manpower. Eugene tries to sell the Bureau on high standards while trash-talking the corporations. She mentions that the Bureau is an organization with a long history, and they possess extensive knowledge in training the Awakened and subjugating the inverted world. She admits that the League of Enterprises offers better rewards, but their missions are always more dangerous. Beck knows this because in the other world, there were a lot of Awakened who lost their lives while carrying out the corporation's requests. In fact, there are situations where they refused to pay Beck, and he had to use force to get them to pay his money. They later discovered that he was an unregistered awakened, and he ended up getting chased down by the bureau for a little while. It was after this that he met Kim Chul. Yujin then gives him an office phone, telling him that after he is done receiving training, they are going to confirm his identity, and he will be promoted. She adds that this is when his team will also be decided. Yujin shamelessly tells him that she wishes that he gets dispatched to Team 1 because this is her team. Beck assures Yujin that this is his wish also. Apparently, Beck feels he is indebted to Yujin because of the other world. It turns out that Yujin was the one who raided the lab, which gave him the chance to survive. Once they are done with their conversation, the two end up shaking hands. Nayeon is shocked when she sees this because it is very strange for NPCs to have such natural conversations. Even Sungshul is left wondering how this is possible. Yujin only asked Nayeon programmed questions during her own time, which is why she is very surprised. Sungshul then mentions that Yujin appears to be a fully adaptive AI. For those who have no idea what a fully adaptive AI is, it is an NPC that can fully respond to any situation request. Unlike existing NPCs, it can also communicate freely and seamlessly. It is basically a program that takes too many resources, which some believe could never be implemented in an online game. Nayeon then mentions that there is the possibility that the developers have solved the resource issue. Sungshul doesn't agree with this because he believes that the developers would have advertised it to make the game even more popular. To Sungshul, he believes that one has to meet a certain condition to unlock the feature. Sungshul assumes that the minimum requirement for this is most likely starting with no combat correction because this is the only difference between Beck and the other players. Nonetheless, Nayeon is pretty sure that this will stir up some heat, and Sungshul reveals his excitement to see what planet Earth is going to announce. At the same time, Nayeon is already thinking of bringing a huge figure to the show, and this is someone who is interested in the Reverse Planet storyline. After Beck is done with Yujin, Nayeon ends the stream, urging the viewers to join her on the next one, which will feature the player versus player mode. Later on, Beck is seen in the battle prep room, wondering why Anonymous 62 didn't make an appearance. Apparently, he had also informed Nayeon to let him know if Anonymous 62 makes contact. Since Nayeon hasn't ended the stream, he figures out that she still wants him to continue. Moments later, Nayeon comes back on, telling the viewers that the next thing on their list is player versus player, and the day's content is going to be a showdown. Nayeon lets the viewers know that this is Beck's first time playing the mode, which means he is going to be starting in the normal league. Basically, there are a total of 8 ranks in Reverse Planet. There are Bronze, Silver, Gold, Platinum, Diamond, Master, Grandmaster, and Contender. To get the Bronze rank, one has to win 10 times in the normal league. With previous stats, it takes a professional player about 30 minutes and an average player about 2 hours to clear this. Suddenly, someone drops a quest for Beck, telling him to hit Bronze in 30 minutes for a completion reward of 500,000 won. Nayeon quickly contacts Beck to tell him this, and he replies with a hand sign, telling Nayeon that he is on board. The viewers are surprised to see this, and some believe that he is getting cocky. With this, everyone is eager to see if Beck will be able to complete the mission. Moments later, Beck gets a match for the first match, and to everyone's surprise, he is using a weapon that he hasn't used before, which is 2 swords. When his opponent sees this, he believes that he has a chance as long as he doesn't get close to Beck. Just as the match begins, the opponent tries to unleash his attack, but Beck vertically cuts him in half before he can move. In no time, Beck moves to the next round, and the moment this player sees Beck, he can immediately figure out that he is overpowered. Without hesitation, he pulls out of the match, giving Beck his second win. Beck then proceeds to the next match, and just like before, he defeats the dude pretty easily. Before they realize it, Beck has won 10 games in a row in just 20 minutes. Nayeon and Sungshul are left wondering what they just witnessed. They can't believe that Beck became Bronze rank in just 20 minutes. The chat also goes wild, talking about how Beck has managed to break all the pro records, and they immediately crown Beck the GOAT. Sungshul mentions that time is not the only thing that is impressive about Beck's record. Usually people run into problems when they have to face counters, but Beck didn't even care what his opponents brought to the match. During all of his matches, Beck showed a perfect performance throughout, making it a total domination. Just as promised, the dude who promised the money donated the money, since Beck completed the quest. Nayeon thanks the donor and lets her viewers know that she is excited to see just how Beck is going to perform in future matches. Just then, Sungshul mentions that it might be easy for people to stream snipe Beck, since they are streaming his gameplay. At the same time, Sungshul believes that it might not happen because it is hard to stream snipe someone. As if he jinxed it, a dude entered the arena, and the dude turned out to be a stream sniper. The dude starts trash-talking Beck, and he tells the viewers to keep their eyes on their screens because he is about to destroy Beck. Even though the dude is taunting him, Beck maintains his cool, and he only prepares to take on the dude. Nayeon takes the credit for this, revealing that she was the one who told Beck not to worry himself about things like this. In no time, the first round begins, and the stream sniper unleashes a massive amount of energy from his body before going after Beck. Beck had initially thought the dude would amount to something because of how confident he is, but in the end, Beck realizes that he is trash. Without breaking a sweat, Beck cuts him down, thus winning the first round of the match. The stream sniper is pissed when this happens, and since he has just 10 seconds for the next round to start, he decides to pull out his trump card so he can win. The moment he activates his secret skill, the atmosphere around him changes, and even Beck sees this. The stream sniper then comes after Beck, ready to tear him apart. Beck has no choice but to admit that the dude's attacks have gotten sharper and more efficient thanks to the skill that he used. The stream sniper shoots himself in the leg when he calls Beck a hacker, and adds that he was only going easy on him in the first round. It turns out that Nayeon had told Beck to brutally destroy anyone who calls him a hacker, and the stream sniper just found himself in the category. The stream sniper pushes Beck backwards, but he can clearly see that something has changed. Nonetheless, he tries to remain confident because he believes that he has the advantage. Frustrated with the lack of action from Beck, the stream sniper goes after him again, telling him not to act cool while calling him a hacker. This time around, Beck dashes past the stream sniper before he even knows what is happening. By the time he realizes it, he sees that Beck has already cut him. Without giving him time to react, Beck starts delivering several painful cuts to his body. The stream sniper gets mad and tries to do something crazy, but Beck makes sure that he has no chance whatsoever. In no time, Nayeon and Sungshul realize that Beck is intentionally keeping the stream sniper alive because he wants him to suffer. Sungshul teases Nayeon, telling her that Beck is simply following her suggestions. Even the viewers start commending Nayeon, calling her a fearsome woman for creating a monster. Soon afterward, the stream sniper finds himself on his ass, asking Beck what kind of monster he is. Beck then throws his words back at him before delivering the final blow to win the match. After defeating the stream sniper, Beck continues the rest of his matches with great momentum. In fact, Beck was so awesome that he won 30 matches in a row, and in no time, he made it to the gold rank. Sungchul expresses his shock that Beck was able to get a 30-game win streak on his first stream. The viewers are left in awe as some of them start asking Beck to share his build. When Nayeon sees this, she realizes that Beck might be hesitant to share it since it is personal to most people. Nonetheless, she decides that she is going to ask Beck. Nayeon then asks Beck if he is fine with showing the viewers his build, and Beck tells her that he has no issues with it. Nayeon excitedly tells her viewers that Beck has agreed to show his build. She then promises to post it on the forum after the stream. The viewers are shocked to see that Beck actually shared his build because it is considered sensitive info, and this shows just how confident Beck is. Once they are done with this, Sungshul and Nayeon bow to the viewers to say goodbye to them. After closing the stream, Sungshul excitedly talks about how the stream was fun. There was no dull moment on the stream from start to finish. Nayeon starts wondering if Beck is going to beat the world record with his current momentum. She asks what the current record is, and Sungshul reveals that the current win streak and record is 76 in Showdown, and it is held by Battler. Nayeon expresses her wish for Beck to be able to beat the record, and since Beck is such an amazing gamer, she believes that he can. Sungshul agrees with Nayeon, and he mentions that there is every possibility that Battler has been watching Beck's stream because Battler is a competitive player. Just as predicted, Battler has been watching, and he has also been monitoring everything going on in the community. He can see how much they are glazing Beck. One of the comments then catches his attention, and this is someone saying Battler doesn't stand a chance against Beck. Battler laughs at this comment because he considers himself at the top of his game. Some days later, in the second stream, Beck logs into the game, wondering why Anonymous Viewer 62 didn't appear in the last stream. He asks him if there is something that he needs to do to get his attention. Moments later, Yujin shows up on the scene. She asks Beck if he is nervous because it is his first practical mission, but Beck assures her that he is fine. Meanwhile, Beck knows that something is off because the moment he logged into the game, he was given the mission. He is told that his first practical mission has been assigned, and Yujin urges him to change into his battle outfit while telling him the meeting location. Even though it is suspicious, Beck doesn't mind, since he thinks it is a good thing that he gets to skip the training phase. Beck then asks Yujin what the mission is all about. Yujin reveals that Beck has been tasked with eliminating invading entities and also closing the infiltration space. Yujin leads Beck to a building that was previously owned by the League of Enterprises. Yujin mentions that they don't really mess with the League because they can sometimes be helpful. Nonetheless, the corporations waste no time throwing things away once they figure out that it serves no purpose for them. It turns out Beck is going after insect-type invading monsters, and they are basically weak. However, they are annoying to deal with, because they always move in large numbers. Once Yujin shows her identity to the guards outside, they are given entrance into the building. Upon entering, Beck expresses his shock that a portal appeared in a factory. Suddenly it dawns on him that he has seen the environment in the other world too. However, the portal in the other world was medium-sized, not small like this one. He starts wondering if there is a mistake, but this thought is cut short by Yujin, who tells him that they should enter the portal. Just as they are about to enter, an annoying dude, Choi Hyung-chul, shows up. It turns out that Choi is an awakened who is affiliated with Gumshin Electronics. Yujin is surprised to see Choi, and she demands to know why he is at the factory. Choi claims that he has no idea because he is just as shocked that their missions are overlapping. This leaves Yujin surprised again because she remembers Choi giving the mission up. She asks him if he is plotting something, but Choi denies any form of foul play. Choi then turns to Beck, urging him to stop wasting his time at the bureau and just join the big corporation where there is life. Yujin doesn't take this lightly, and her reaction tells Choi to back off. He tells Yujin that he is leaving her to handle the mission by herself. After Choi leaves, Beck asks Yujin who Choi is, and she reveals that he was the first trainee agent that she worked with. Apparently, Choi has been spreading fake rumors about the bureau since he left the bureau after he got recruited by the League of Enterprises. Those who are watching are all shocked because this is the first time the bad relationship between Yujin and Choi would be properly dived into. Once they are done talking, Yujin suggests that they enter the portal. Unknown to them, Choi and his boys are waiting for them to enter before making a move, and it seems they have something sinister cooked up. As they are about to enter the portal, Yujin explains to Beck that the portal is the only way to get to the reverse planet. Just then, something unusual happens, and Yujin gets dragged into the portal. By the time Beck enters the portal, he realizes that he has been separated from Yujin. Before he knows it, a bunch of monsters have surrounded him, and Beck figures out that it would be better if he takes care of the monsters before he goes looking for Yujin. On the other hand, Yujin is trashing the monsters that have surrounded her. However, the monsters just keep on coming. Assessing the situation, she can see that there is something off. At the same time, she is worried about Beck. She has just finished taking down monsters and is still catching her breath when Choi suddenly appears behind her. Yujin reacts at the last minute, but she still gets cut in the stomach. Yujin manages to put some distance between herself and Choi while demanding to know what is going on with him. Choi smiles like a villain, telling Yujin that it is a secret mission. He urges Yujin not to judge him because he is only following orders. Before Yujin knows it, she realizes that she is already surrounded, and to make it worse, her wound is deep. Yujin then assesses the situation and immediately concludes that she needs to escape. Yujin then conjures a massive energy blast and sends it in the direction of one of the attackers. The dude manages to block the attack, but this gives Yujin the time to move past him. This results in a fierce chase in trying to catch Yujin. As she runs, she also makes sure to cook up counterattacks to slow Choi and his boys. This gives her enough distance to run ahead, and she soon finds a hole, which she immediately jumps into. Thanks to the hole, she is able to escape her assailants. On the other hand, Beck is treating the monsters like they are bugs. Even the viewers are left wondering how Beck is able to kill them so easily. Moments later, Beck sees Yujin's tracks, and with the way the tracks lay out, he figures out that something must have happened. Suddenly, he hears Yujin's voice in the distance, and he immediately makes a run toward her location. Beck arrives there to find her struggling with a monster. Beck swings into action and kills the monster, thus saving Yujin's life. Yujin falls out of the monster's grasp, but Beck is there to catch her just like Superman. Beck gently lays her on the ground, and he asks her if she is fine because she has wounds all over her. It immediately dawns on Beck that Yujin is pretty skilled, and there is no way she is losing to a bug. In addition, her wounds are too deep, which means there is something else at play. Beck then asks Yujin if Choi is the one responsible for what happened to her, and Yujin says yes. Yujin mentions that Choi and his men came right after the portal disaster. At the same time, the viewers believe that something is wrong because Choi's MO is an ambush. In addition, the mission appears to have come in too early, and Nayeon asks Sungchul if he thinks this is because of the AI. Sungchul then replies that the only conclusion that they can come to is that there is a hidden story, so he suggests that they continue watching. Back in the game, Yujin tells Beck that she managed to lose Choi and his team, but they might just come back any time. In addition, she is scared that she might give off their location if she uses her skill. Believing that she is a burden, she urges Beck to get out first, but Beck tells her to hide while he goes to take care of the traitors. Yujin disagrees with this, telling Beck that Choi is a veteran awakened, so he won't be able to deal with them on his own. Beck then replies that he will be fine because he has a plan. Moments later, Choi and his boys are cooking up a plan to track Yujin down when Choi senses a presence behind him. Choi immediately brandishes his weapon, ready to take down whoever it is. However, Beck screams out like a baby, telling him to wait. Choi then pulls back when he realizes that Beck is Yujin's junior. Beck then puts on a good act, telling Choi that he got separated from Yujin after using the portal. The viewers are impressed when they see Beck's crazy acting skills, and they know Choi is done for. Choi then moves closer to Beck to pat him on the shoulder while trying to get him to lower his guard. Once he is close enough to unleash his weapon, Choi makes his move, but before he can land his attack, Baek's dagger ends up in his chest. Baek's movement was so fast that Choi's heart was already punctured before he figured out what was happening. It isn't until Choi staggers backwards in pain that his other two comrades finally realize that Baek has done something crazy to him. Baek wastes no time retreating into the bushes, and one of them goes after him, while the other stays back to provide first aid for Choi. The dude chasing Baek soon gets lost with no idea where Baek is. Unknown to him, Baek is staring at him from a treetop, and before he knows it, Baek has landed behind him. He doesn't even get the chance to react before Baek turns his neck into a funnel. Back at the original location, the last guy on the team is trying everything in his power to get Choi back up. Just when it appears that he is making progress, Baek's dagger comes flying out of nowhere, and it impales Choi right on the spot again, ultimately killing him. The last guy frantically stands up, demanding to know where his comrade who chased Baek is. He soon gets his answer when Baek shows him his comrade's sword, which only means one thing, and this is the fact that his comrade is resting 6 feet under. Annoyed, the dude unleashes his power and conjures stone spikes at Baek. However, Baek dodges his attacks. The dude then comes up with another attack, Earth Wave, shaking up everything in its path. Baek makes a run for it, and he easily kicks down a tree to use it as a shield. When the bad guy sees this, he has no choice but to admit that Baek is a monster. The dude then unleashes another deadly attack. Baek manages to dodge the first 2 strikes, but he fails to dodge everything, and he gets cut under his arm. Seeing just how dangerous the dude is, Baek goes on the offensive and he dashes toward the bad guy. Desperate to keep Baek away, the dude starts unleashing a ton of barriers to keep him away. However, Baek cuts everything down as he closes in on the dude. Before he knows it, Baek reaches him and slices his neck in an X shape. The last thing the dude says before dying is the word impossible because he can't understand how Baek was able to easily take him down. Everyone watching, including Nayeon, is left questioning their life existences because Baek literally just eliminated 3 hunting dogs. At the same time, some viewers complain about the quest's difficulty because Baek shouldn't be facing hunting dogs on his first mission. On the other hand, Baek is disappointed that he got injured while taking on the hunting dogs. With this, he concludes that there is still a lot that he needs to improve on because he is pretty weak compared to the other world. Baek then walks over to Choi's corpse to search it. On Choi's phone, he realizes that he was given a mission to capture or kill Yujin. He continues searching, but in the end, the message is all he can see. Baek then concludes that the Bureau will be the one to finish up the investigation. As a reward, Baek gets the Dagger of Sharp Return. For its first effect, the blade's cutting power increases slightly. And for the second effect, when the blade is thrown, it returns to the hand that threw it at the moment the user wishes. Baek also got the Bracelet of the Winner, and the first effect increases the wearer's ability power. The second power reduces the cooldown of the ability, but this only applies in player versus environment mode. Lastly, there is the Hermit's Necklace, and for the first effect, it can use shadow storage. The second effect can always put equipment items in the storage at any time, and this also applies only in PvE mode. Baek is impressed that he can already see the item's effects because in the other world, it was through multiple trials and runs. Baek then stores the items and realizes that he has to clear out the inverted world before Yujin's injuries get even worse. Meanwhile, Yujin found herself in front of a giant, scary monster called the Emperor Scorpion. Instead of getting scared, Yujin is thankful that the scorpion showed up at her place because she believes Baek would have died if he encountered the monster. Yujin then concludes that she has to take care of the monster on her own, and she cooks up a seemingly powerful attack. Before she even lands her attack, the scorpion crashes in front of her, shocking her. It isn't until she hears Baek's voice asking her if she is fine that she finally understands what is going on. She looks up to see Baek standing on top of the monster with his sword pushed into the monster's head. The chat goes wild as they commend Baek for saving Yujin on time. In addition, the viewers are impressed that Yujin stood up to an Emperor Scorpion even in her bad state. Just then, everything starts coming down, and it dawns on Yujin that Baek actually killed Choi and his men, and then cleared the inverted world. Baek then tells Yujin to hop on his back so that they can quickly exit before things get worse. Sungshul mentions that the two have to escape before they are swept away with the collapsing world. With Yujin on his back, Baek still manages to make it to the portal to return to the game world. After the meeting, Kim debriefs Baek, and he learns about the ambush. Kim is pissed that the corporations crossed the line, and he asks Baek what happened to Choi and his men. Baek casually answers that he already killed them, shocking Kim. Instead of asking how he was able to do this, he just moved past it, and Baek handed over Choi's phone. Kim thanks Baek for his help, and he tells him to go take a rest, while the Bureau takes care of the rest. Just as Baek is about to leave, Kim notices the bloodlust, and he urges him to calm down because he is still going to get another chance. With his mission complete, the system awards Baek another skill point, and he is asked to choose his second key element. Nayeon is commending her viewers for their support when she suddenly gets the notification that Anonymous62 has privately donated 3 million won with a message telling Beck that he has passed the first test. The message continues, telling Beck that there is a special mission for him. Nayeon immediately contacts Beck to let him know that Anonymous62 sent 3 million won with a message attached to it. In the message, Anonymous62 tells Beck that he has a special mission for him, but he has to finish his stream first. Beck thanks Nayeon for her help and suggests that they continue the stream. Sungchul then asks Nayeon why she appears distracted, but Nayeon replies that it is nothing. She is surprised that Sungchul can't see the message and donation, but she figures out that he can't since it's an anonymous donation. Nayeon then decides to just continue the stream, and she excitedly tells the viewers that it is time to move to PvP. And for the day's PvP, they choose Warfare. It is a team game of 5 versus 5, and the first to get 2 wins will win the match. The viewers are not really on board with Warfare because they believe it is boring. Nayeon is not surprised that the viewers are opposing this, but she is pretty sure that they are all going to change their minds once they watch the match. Moments later, Beck finds a match in the PvP battle mode with the escort theme. He meets up with his teammates and they have been designated for attack. Apparently the attack team has to push the payload to the destination, while the defense team tries to stop them. Nayeon expresses her excitement about the whole thing because she wants to see how Beck is going to perform in the new game mode. Just then, the first round starts, and surprisingly, Beck backs off from the payload. This shocks Sungchul, and Nayeon mentions that he is probably going for the flanking play. Sungchul replies that people generally stay close to the payload, but it is not a bad choice if one has the skills to back up their tactics. Nonetheless, Sungchul believes that it is not easy to stop 5 people solo. Momentarily, Beck makes his move, and he dashes toward the defense team, shocking the viewers. Before the defense team even knows what is happening, Beck has descended upon them. The first dude gets taken down with a dagger, immediately sending a wave of panic among the others. Before they can react, Beck has taken down the second dude. In no time, Beck finishes off the rest of the defense team, single-handedly winning the match for his teammates. When his teammates see this, they are all shocked because it all happened so fast. Some viewers believe that his teammates should be angry because they didn't get to do anything, while some believe that they should be glad that they got carried. Even Nayeon is surprised at just how impressive everything turns out to be. Sungchul mentions that Beck was faster than usual, and he believes that he has somewhere to be, or something to do. After this, Beck plays 3 other modes, which are Deathmatch, Control, and Flashpoint. Throughout the 3 modes, no one had what it took to actually stop him. He blitzed past everyone, rendering them totally useless. After he is done, Anonymous62 donates another 3 million won again, telling him what his special mission is. Apparently, he is to open a new system in the game by progressing in the game. Nayeon's brain almost fries when she realizes that Anonymous just dropped another 3 million won. Nayeon then asks Beck if they should use the money to do a viewer event and a dinner party, but Beck doesn't care about all that. All he cares about is what Anonymous62 wanted him to do. Beck figures out that by progressing with the game, he has to continue with all the game modes. Even though he is frustrated, he has no choice but to just do what Anonymous62 wants at that point. Some days later, which is the 3rd day of the stream, Beck reports to the training facility of the Bureau. He had gotten a message from Yujin telling him to show up because she wants to introduce him to his new trainer, since she is currently unavailable thanks to her injuries. When the viewers hear this, they start debating who the substitute is going to be. Some believe that it might be Kim Chul, but others disagree because they know that Kim Chul is currently busy. Just then, Yujin shows up and she offers her greetings. After they are done with their shenanigans, the substitute appears on the scene. She turns out to be a hot chick who introduces herself as Kim Hana. The viewers go wild when they see this because Kim Hana is really a beauty to behold, and they all wish that they were in Beck's shoes. It turns out that Beck also knows who Kim Hana is. In the other world, Kim Chul is the only one who surpasses her when it comes to speed. She's basically second in power at the Dimensional Management Bureau. Beck admits that things got pretty dangerous for him when he met her as an enemy in the other world. After Yujin is done introducing the two, she dashes out of there, leaving them to catch up. With Yujin's departure, Hana asks Beck if he prefers the long sword or the short sword, and he replies that he can use both. Upon hearing this, Hana decides to test Beck's skill level. She asks him if he is up for a duel, and the viewers almost go crazy when they hear this, since it has never happened like that before. Basically, not all players use the sword, and Sungchul mentions that this only happened because Beck is the main character. Even the chat is going wild because most players are skill users, and they just conclude that the whole AI thing is insane. Apparently, they believe that the AI would have limits even if it is supposed to be a fully responsive AI, but this is something that is completely different from the plot of the other users. They start wondering if the plot changes thanks to the actions of the player, just like how it happens in reality. While they are all bickering among themselves, Beck and Hana are preparing to go head-to-head. Hana then suggests that they use only their swords without adding their abilities. Beck then replies that this might not be possible because his ability is a body enhancement, and it is active at all times. Since this is the case, Hana decides to use her ability, but she is going to reduce its effectiveness. With this, she starts the match, and she dashes towards Beck with a deadly strike. Beck dodges the first strike, and before he knows it, another swing has moved toward him. Beck is forced to leap backwards to try to dodge the flurry of attacks coming from Hana. Sungchul is not surprised because Hana is pretty skillful, and it turns out that Hana has the best wind build. Basically, she was the one who inspired the god of wind build. At the same time, Sungchul is impressed that Beck is holding his own against Hana. After a few swings, Hana quickly figures out that Beck is not to be joked with, and she decides to take him seriously a bit. She infuses her weapon with a powerful wind attack, ready to tear Beck's head open, but Beck's reflexes help him dodge the strike. The attack shatters everything behind, but he is safe, and Hana commends him, saying she was expecting him to dodge it. The viewers are all hyped after the match, and some believe that Beck would have had more chances if he had 2 key elements unlocked. Hana then compliments Ba, Eki, telling him that he is more impressive than she thought. On the other hand, Beck is not entirely impressed because he knows that he would have lost to Hana if it were a real fight. This tells Beck that he is still lacking in skills compared to when he was in the other world. Hana then asks him who he learned his swordsmanship from, and he replies that he is self-taught. This impresses Hana because she wasn't expecting Beck to be this impressive without a master. Hana then tells Beck to follow him because she has something to show him. Momentarily, they arrive at the armory of the Dimensional Management Bureau. They are welcomed by the team leader of support and assistance, Kim Hyunwoo. Hana tells Hyunwoo that Beck is there to choose a weapon because there is no essence of him using weapons with no abilities. Hyunwoo urges Beck to choose wisely among the hundreds of weapons present in the room, and he takes his leave. Hana also tells Beck to take his time while picking out a weapon. After looking around for a bit, Beck doesn't see what captivates him until he runs into a weapon, which he thinks is a bit okay. This weapon is the Vampiric Spear Dragos. For its first effect, it increases the cutting power of the spear blade, and the second effect absorbs the blood on the blade to heal the wielder. And for the third effect, it obtains control over blood. Beck is about to make his choice when his eye catches something. He turns around, and to his surprise, it is a black longsword called Soul Eater. For the sword's first effect, it is basically indestructible, and the second effect increases the cutting power depending on the devoured souls. For the third effect, it heals the wielder based on the damage that the Soul Eater deals. Apparently it has other effects, but they are still sealed, and it is important to note that these effects only apply in PvE content. Beck is surprised to see the sword since it is supposed to be on the black market. He concludes that the sword originally belonged to the Bureau and someone must have stolen it. Beck is glad because he just ran into his favorite sword in such a simple place. Beck then tells Hana that he is going to choose the Soul Eater, and Hana tells him that she is going to process the transfer of ownership for him. When the viewers see this, they almost go crazy because all the players usually get a 2-option weapon at this stage of the game. Impressed by what they are watching, a viewer donates 1,001, talking about how Beck might have gotten the sword that will serve as the endgame once he unleashes all the effects. Sungchul then mentions that this isn't the first time that Beck has gotten a weapon he shouldn't have gotten early. He reminds everyone that the Hermit's necklace that Beck obtained in the last stream only appears after mid-game. Sungchul saying this finally jolts their memories, and they conclude that they overlooked it because they were invested in the interesting storyline. Sungchul then comes up with another theory saying the game most likely gives rewards strictly depending on risk. Basically, the harder the challenge, the bigger the reward. Nayeon agrees with him, saying Beck most likely got the necklace because he had to defeat the hunting dogs on his first mission. Sungchul agrees with this, talking about how Beck has been doing flawlessly up until that point. Nayeon then concludes that Beck getting Soul Eater is his reward for everything so far, and Sungchul suggests that they sit back and watch what happens. Later on, Hana finishes with the transfer of ownership, and she hands over the sword to Beck. Since Beck has just gotten a new sword, Hana immediately suggests that they go on a raid. Momentarily, they arrive at a portal, sitting at the top of a mountain. Basically, this is a portal where they are going to encounter wolf-type monsters, but they are still considered E to F rank monsters. Upon entering the portal, Hana lets Beck know that the monsters will be swarming them very soon. Even though the monsters are trickier to deal with, he is not worried because anything under B rank poses no threat to him. Since the monsters are going to come to them, Beck believes that it saves them the worry of searching for them instead. Hana then tells him that she's going to stay back and watch from the rear, but she is only going to intervene if things are about to go south. Beck then summons Soul Eater from the storage space, and just as expected, the wolves show up. A bunch of them jump at Beck, and he decides to swing the sword with his full power. Beck unleashes a powerful strike, which one-shots the monster. By killing the monsters, he managed to increase the sword's cutting power. Nayeon is impressed at how Beck is able to swing such a huge sword with precision. Meanwhile, Hana is left stunned because she recognizes the sword move that Beck just used, which is called the Heavenly Moon Slash. Without giving Beck a break, the elite monsters appear on the scene, shocking the viewers because the pacing is insane. The monsters rush at Beck, but he cuts them up pretty easily. Sungshul is surprised at how insane Beck's skill is, because there is no record of him learning the skills anywhere. Even Nayeon is surprised, and she concludes that Beck must have learned everything when he was playing Colosseum. Beck continues cutting up the monsters while swinging around his large sword. He gathers them in the same location and impales them at once, making things easier for him. Hana is blown away by how impressive Beck is while handling the sword and cutting up the monsters. Suddenly, Beck senses something in the woods, and he takes a defensive stance. Just then, a large, scary wolf known as the Silver Wolf, the captain of the wolf monsters, emerges from the woods. It dashes toward Beck, but Beck manages to block it with his sword. However, the force from the wolf pushes Beck backwards. Beck manages to free himself from the wolf's grasp, and he cuts it up a bit before jumping backwards to get into a better position. Even though the wolf is quite stronger than the other wolves, Beck is not worried one bit. Beck swings his sword horizontally, and it cuts the wolf in half, thus devouring the captain's soul. With this, Beck defeats all of the monsters, and Hana commends him, saying it is expected of the most anticipated agent of the Bureau. Hana then mentions that she was already planning to intervene because the wolf's difficulty is greater than the actual difficulty. Nayeon agrees with this because the mission was stated to be an E or F rank difficulty, but in the end, it turned out to be a B rank difficulty. Sungshul then comes up with another of his theories, saying the difficulty might be affected by the player's past actions. Just then, it dawns on them that the inverted world is not closing even though Beck has cleared the monsters. Hana tells Beck that they are currently encountering an abnormal phenomenon, and she suggests that they figure out the root cause of the abnormality. Momentarily, the two find an egg sitting in the middle of nowhere. Suddenly, the egg emits a bright light, and it starts to crack. Hana urges Beck to get ready because they can never predict what will emerge from the egg. Surprisingly, a puppy emerges from the egg, leaving everyone questioning what just happened because it has never happened before. The puppy walks up to Beck, and Hana talks about how abnormal it is that an otherworldly creature is not hostile toward humans. Beck asks if they should kill it, and even though it is the standard procedure, Hana suggests that they take it back to the lab because it looks cute. Beck agrees, and he grabs the puppy. The moment he does this, the inverted world starts to collapse and the two immediately leave. At the lab located in the headquarters, the scientist expresses their shock and confusion because this is the first time they have witnessed something like this. The head scientist comes up with a theory, saying the puppy might have been summoned by an ability. Hana then tells him that neither she nor Beck has the ability to do this. The scientist clears the air, saying the summoning must have happened from the inverted world and not the action from the two of them. Nonetheless, he promises that they are going to thoroughly investigate the case. Hana then asks the dude if the Bureau will be the one to protect the puppy, and this is when the scientist reveals something shocking. He mentions that the ownership imprint is already complete, and according to regulations, they are not allowed to offer protection to a living creature whose imprint is finished. In a surprising turn of events, it turns out that the puppy has registered Beck as its master already, and the system acknowledges the puppy as Beck's pet. Beck is still wondering what is happening when an emergency maintenance announcement hits them. The players are informed that there is going to be server maintenance for an update, which will happen in 5 minutes, and the players are advised to log out in a safe zone as soon as possible. This comes as a shock to the viewers because Beck just obtained a pet, and the server immediately went under maintenance. To some, they believe that the pet system was just introduced, which is the need for server maintenance. However, others believe that it is a mere coincidence and there is no need to overreact. Since they all have to wait to see what will happen, Nayeon tells the viewers that she has to end the stream. Meanwhile, the stream is being watched in the conference room in the Planet Earth headquarters, which is located in the United States. There seems to be chaos among the developers because they just ran into a system update that they don't even know about. The head developer, Sophia, complains bitterly about everything, and her colleague lets her know that the only person who can do this to them is a dude named Isaac. Apparently, Isaac is the previous head developer who is a known genius but mysteriously went missing. Sophia is convinced that Isaac intentionally went on hiding, but at the same time she wasn't expecting him to shut down the server and update the game out of nowhere. Sophia then asks if they made any progress on Deus, but the team says no. It turns out that Deus is the artificial intelligence that Isaac created to help with the game development. But the AI stopped working the moment Isaac vanished. Sophia then tells the team to make sure that there is no other thing that they know about because they are going to be in a lot of trouble if something like this happens again. Her colleague asks her if she thinks they have a chance at finding the files if Isaac doesn't want them to. Sophia angrily screams at the dude, telling him that they have no choice but to find the files at all costs. In addition, she tells the team to keep an eye on Beck so that they can take action if something happens. Deep down, Sophia is ready to fight back to make sure that Isaac doesn't get what he wants. On the other hand, Anonymous62 just donated 5 million won, which he claims is Beck's reward for completing the special mission. Anonymous62 then tells Beck that he is going to need a trusted comrade for his next special mission. When Beck gets the information, he starts wondering what Anonymous62 is plotting. In addition, he notices that he has only been getting special missions related to the system, both in the other world and the game world. Nayeon then asks Beck if he thinks Anonymous62 is an employee of the game company. She's also surprised that the game went under maintenance the moment Beck finds a pet. However, Beck thinks it's a coincidence because he doesn't expect the game company to focus on some random player's stream. Beck then asks Nayeon about the big message she said she has for him. Nayeon reveals that Beck just got a recruitment offer from the SSR Cup. The SSR Cup is the game's biggest PvP tournament. They usually recruit streamers, famous influencers, or even retired professional players. Beck then asks Nayeon why they would want him there as a coach too. Nayeon replies that Beck is the center of attention at the moment, and there is also something called the official support coach in the SSR Cup. Nayeon thinks the organizers believe that Beck would hold more influence as a coach rather than being a player. Nayeon then urges Beck to participate so he can show his ability as a coach. Since Nayeon is telling him to be a coach, he asks Nayeon if he is suggesting that he take in a disciple. Nayeon confirms this, assuring Beck that she is going to prepare everything if he is ready. She even suggests that Beck conduct tryouts so that he can pick his desired disciple. Since Anonymous62 has told him that he is going to need a comrade he can trust, Beck agrees to Nayeon's plan. Nayeon takes this decision with happiness because she knows that the whole thing will help their stream too. Nayeon lets Beck know that she is going to inform the organizers before Beck changes his mind. Not long after this, Sungchul and Nayeon go on the stream to tell the viewers that they have an important announcement to make. With excitement, they let the viewers know that Beck is going to participate in the SSR Cup as a coach. The chat goes wild when they hear this, but some believe that Beck should have joined as a player. Sungchul also mentions that he is curious to see how Beck is going to perform as a coach because being a great player doesn't make a great coach. However, Nayeon mentions that Beck has to rank up first because his current tier is relatively low. Apparently, Beck is currently a gold rank in all 3 modes. Nayeon mentions that she and Beck played the Battle Royale mode together, and they won 10 games in a row. Since this is the case, Nayeon tells the viewers that Beck can start playing ranked right away. Suddenly, a viewer puts up a quest, telling Beck to get 40 kills or higher without using any weapons for a 3 million won reward. Just as usual, Nayeon almost passes out from excitement, and she quickly reaches out to Beck to let him know. The viewers are also excited to see what is going to happen, as they believe that Beck is finally about to lose a mission for the first time. However, Beck is not a coward, and he accepts the challenge. This leaves the viewers on edge as they try to see if Beck is going to pass the mission or not. Momentarily, Beck logs into the Battle Royale solo mode and he lands in the military base. He quickly figures out that there are about 19 players in the area, and since he is targeting 40 kills, he figures out that he has to be fast about it. Beck takes his stance and dashes forward, clipping the players as he moves. The viewers are left in shock because they can't even keep up with how fast he is moving. Beck's kill count just keeps on increasing as he one-shots the players he comes across. By the time Beck is done clearing out the outskirts of the military base, he has accumulated 18 kills already. Beck then figures out that the next location is the center. Soon afterward, the player count is reduced to just 2, which is Beck and 1 mysterious player. Beck tracks down the last player, who appears to be lost in thought. Beck tries to finish him off with a kick to the head, but the dude moves at the last second, dodging Beck's attack. Beck's attack crushes the ground, showing just how devastating the strike is. The viewers are surprised to see that the last player is actually fast because he managed to dodge Beck's strike. The dude then puts up his fists, ready to engage in hand-to-hand combat against Beck. This tells the viewers that the dude is probably using a body-enhancing build just like Beck. Surprisingly, the dude appears to be no joke too, because he has a total of 15 kills on the board too. On the other hand, Beck has 39 kills, and if he manages to defeat the last dude, he is going to get the 40 kill count. Momentarily, the fight between the two ensues, and Beck throws his fist toward the dude's head, but he dodges. The dude launches a counterattack, but Beck manages to block the strike with his elbow. Beck then jumps kick the dude, pushing him backwards. The viewers are impressed by what they are watching because the two are fighting like proper martial artists should.
This leaves them wondering who the other dude is. Some believe that he is a hidden pro because of how he's been moving. Beck also admits that his opponent's movements are pretty good, but at the same time, he is done playing around with him. The dude lunges at him, and Beck tricks him into thinking he wants to punch him, but he finishes him off with a spear-shaped fist. The dude is sent flying into the wall, and just as he is about to die, he admits that he had no chance because he was using a build that he is not used to. Nonetheless, he tells Beck that it was fun playing with him, assuring him that they are going to have a proper fight next time. With the dude's death, Beck wins the game with exactly 40 kills, leaving the viewers ecstatic. As promised, the viewer, DUS, who put up the quest, donated the 3 million won. With this momentum, Beck went on a 98-game winning streak on the stream to reach the master tier in all of the modes. Later on, game streamers Young Aryam and Young Down, who are twins, find out about Beck's desire to find a disciple for the SSR Cup. Since the two are interested, they both apply to become Beck's disciple. Meanwhile, Sophia is seen in her office checking out the day's report on Beck, and DUS, who donated 3 million during the stream, catches her attention. Some days later, Beck is seen checking out his pet, the lightning wolf. Before the stream, he wants to know if the pet has anything special, but to his disappointment, the puppy can only bite, howl, and tumble. Nyan also mentions that she wasn't expecting much, since the pet came in with an emergency update. Nyan then tells Beck that she and Sungshul had to decide on some candidates because so many applied. She then suggests that Beck take a look at the list later. Since the stream is about to begin, Beck thinks of sending his pet home, but the pet makes a cute face that forces Beck to start rethinking. 5 minutes later, Nyan starts the stream, and Beck continues the career mode. Beck gets a message from the bureau, telling him that a rampage incident happened in a park. The viewers are left stunned when they see this, since the rampage incident is a large-scale event that shouldn't happen till later. All of them express their confusion at how the story is proceeding. Basically, the reverse planet rampage is a phenomenon in which the otherworld unleashes its monsters upon the reverse planet, ultimately causing a rampage. Beck is then given a mission to respond to the large-scale rampage incident and eliminate the invading monsters. Hana shows up on the scene, telling Beck that she has prepared the vehicles and they need to leave immediately. Moments later, they arrive at the park to find bodies of monsters and humans too. Hana mentions that the agents who came earlier must have been the ones who killed the goblins. Hana then suggests that they split up so that they can cover more ground, and this is thanks to the fact that she now trusts Beck to handle himself. After Hana's departure, Beck makes his move. He soon finds some goblins chasing after a poor lady, and Beck takes down the goblins with his chain sickle. One of the goblins lunges at the lady, ready to tear her apart, but Beck cuts the goblin in half, giving it a taste of its own medicine. The viewers are all blown away by just how effective the chain sickle is when Beck is handling it. After saving the lady, Beck tells her where she needs to go to be safe, and the lady thanks him before scampering off to safety. Beck figures out that the only way to put an end to everything is to kill the leader of the monsters as soon as he can. Beck is thinking about this when a monster appears behind him. The monster almost cuts him in half, but he dodges at the last minute, thanks to his incredible reflexes. Beck is glad that the captain monster showed up just when he was looking for it. Beck is about to engage the monster when he realizes that there is someone else standing in the bushes, watching him. Beck focuses his attention on this mysterious person, leaving him in a defensive state against the captain entity fighting him. Even the viewers notice this, as they wonder why Beck is not countering. Realizing that the mysterious entity in the bush is just going to keep watching unless he gets serious, Beck finally gets into serious mode and he cuts the monster in half. The chat goes wild because they have all been waiting for Beck's impressive moves since the fight started. After defeating the captain of the monsters, Beck tells the mysterious dude to step out into the open. Just then, a giant purplish dude with horns and long ears steps out to face Bayek. It turns out that the strange being is known as a dimension invader. Even though they resemble humans, they are still from the other world and are even considered demons by others. The viewers are left sweating when they see this because most of them have only heard about the invaders, but have never seen one. Sungshul wonders why an invader is appearing so early in the game when they only show up late in the game. Sungshul mentions that Beck's career mode is basically something straight out of imagination at this point. Surprisingly, the invader puts up his fists, ultimately requesting a hand-to-hand combat against Beck. Even though the whole thing is weird, Beck drops his weapon, ready to take on the invader the way he wants. Beck dashes toward the invader and throws a punch at him, but the invader dodges it and launches a counterattack. However, Beck is already prepared, and he manages to dodge the counterstrike. The two continue exchanging blows, and Sungshul mentions that the fight looks the same as one Beck had against the mysterious dude in the Battle Royale mode. One of those in chat agrees, but says bare-knuckle fights all look the same. However, it remains a mystery why the invader is good at close combat fights. On the other hand, Beck has figured out something interesting, and this is the fact that the invader is actually imitating his movements. Beck remembers that there was an Etinel that was modeled after him in the other world, and it was the Etinel's mission to kill him for destroying the research facility. Even though the invader is imitating his movements, Beck still thinks the dude is no match for him. Beck grabs the invader's head and slams him into the ground. Beck then finishes him off with several punches to the head. Beck figures out that there is someone who is doing the same thing as the lab back in the other world, leaving him to wonder who it could be. Beck wonders if it is the League of Enterprises or someone from the invaders. Suddenly, it dawns on him that the invader had actually imitated him from the PvP battle, which ultimately means the person behind everything is someone who can be involved in the game system. This leaves him wondering if it can be the mysterious Anonymous 62. Moments later, Hana shows up on the scene, asking Beck if he is done clearing the surrounding area, and Beck says yes. The viewers are not surprised because Hana is supposed to show up late. Hana is surprised when she finds out that Beck has defeated a captain entity and an invader. Hana then contacts the headquarters, telling them to send the cleanup team because they have an invader corpse on site. She also tells them to make sure that there are no other invaders in the area. Hana then commends Beck for doing a good job, talking about how confident she is that she can trust him. Hana then suggests that they head back to the headquarters once the cleanup team shows up on site. With this, Beck completes the mission, and he is given one ability point as usual. Upon arriving at the headquarters, Kim Chol calls Beck to talk to him about the invader that he ran into. Apparently, they have carried out an investigation on the invader, and it appears to be completely different from the ones they have seen so far. Kim Chol lets Beck know that their conclusion is that it is a totally different species from the others. Kim Chol then asks Beck if there is anything different that he noticed during his encounter with the invader. Beck lets Kim Chol know that the invader tried to imitate him, and this shocks Kim Chol. The chat is also surprised to hear this, but they are more concerned with the fact that Kim Chol's reaction is over the top. Sung Chol then mentions that the invader's actions might mean something more serious than they thought. One of the viewers came up with the theory that the whole thing might probably lead to another story. Kim Chol then tells Beck that there has never been a single time that an invader tried to imitate a human in the past. Kim Chol mentions that they might be in trouble because there will be no way to stop the invaders from invading the planet if they are able to imitate humans. Beck realizes that Chol is right because they are going to bring immeasurable chaos upon society. In addition, he is worried that the League of Societies will cooperate with the invaders as long as it profits them. Kim Chol then tells Beck that he did a great job by stopping another catastrophe before it happened. Because of this, Kim Chol gives Beck a box, telling him that he is more than qualified to have it. After stepping out of Kim Chol's office, he runs into Yujin and Hana while still holding the box in his hand. Yujin reveals that she came over to congratulate Beck because the box in his hand contains an agent's official badge. Yujin mentions that it is a senior's duty to pin the badge on their juniors. However, Yujin is still all bandaged up, and Hana takes up the responsibility instead. Hana then picks the badge and she pins it to Beck's collar while congratulating him on the new milestone. Yujin then tells him that the moment he becomes an agent, he gets a lot more authority, but there is something he should know. Apparently, the authority to go solo gives him the opportunity to go on missions of his choice without having to go through all the complex procedures. Yujin is disappointed that Beck would have to start going to missions solo when they have only gone on one mission together. Hana teases Yujin, reminding her that she got injured on the said mission. Nonetheless, Yujin tells Beck to always call her in case he needs her help, because it is not a must that he go on solo missions by himself. Beck thanks the two for their help, and Yujin asks him what he plans to do with his new authority. Just then, Nayeon cuts the stream, telling the viewers that they are going to end the stream because Sungchul has somewhere important he has to be. In addition, Nayeon lets them know that there is a special announcement. She mentions that the audition for Beck's discipleship is going to open very soon, and she has decided to name it Superstar. The viewers waste no time roasting her in the chat, telling her that the name sounds horrible. To know the applicants, Nayeon tells the viewers to look forward to the next stream. Some days later, the Superstar's audition is prepared to go live. Among the applicants are the twins, Aryam and Dawn. The room is filled with big streamers and even small streamers, revealing that they were not sentimental in picking their candidates. Apparently there is a clickbait streamer, Blue Whale, among the applicants, and Nayeon was the one who intentionally picked him because he wants to mess him up. Once everything is ready, Nayeon and Sungchul start the stream. The viewers are impressed by the new background, which is all thanks to the audition. Nayeon mentions that they are using the outdoor studio because they want to accommodate a large number of people. After Nayeon is done with her yapping, she calls out Beck, and the viewers are blown away because Beck looks so good in a suit. However, his face is covered under a mask, which the majority want him to remove. Before the audition, Beck had asked Nayeon what kind of content requires teammates in the game. Nayeon then replies that the game mode that requires a party is Raid. This is one of the biggest modes in Reverse Planet, and unlike the story mode where one has to defeat a single strong entity, one is required to go through tricky gimmicks, which is why a party is required. And for the reward, it is received only once a week. Now that Beck is present in front of the applicants, he tells them that to become his student, they have to follow everything he says. He lets them know that they are free to leave if they can't do this. In addition, he assures them that they might be disqualified even if they pass the audition, as long as they fail to follow his instructions. However, he assures them that they are going to reach the master tier as long as they are willing to learn. Just then, Blue Whale cuts in, reminding Beck that he is also master tier and he should prove himself first. Beck agrees that the dude made a good point, and he suggests that the 12 of them fight him all at once. He tells them that they win if they are able to land a single hit on him in 10 minutes. However, failure to do so means he wins the contest. Nayeon freaks out when she hears this because this is not what they agreed on. Even Songchul cannot believe what he just heard. Beck then tells them that whoever lands the hit automatically wins the audition. Beck then makes it even spicier by stepping into a circle and telling them that he won't attack first, nor will he leave the circle. The chat goes wild when they hear this because they believe that Beck is already underestimating the applicants. One of the applicants then asks Beck if they are allowed to attack simultaneously, and Beck tells them that they are free to do so. In fact, they are free to use any ability or weapon that they want. With all the rules laid out, Beck declares the match open. Blue Whale is the first to make a move, as he launches a surprise long-range attack, hoping to catch Beck off guard. However, Beck easily dodges the strike, leaving Blue Whale stunned. Beck makes it even more interesting by telling the candidates that they are all free to come at him at once so that they don't waste time. They take to his suggestion, and they all shoot their best shots at him, but in the end, they are the ones who get beaten up. While the others are complaining, the twins make their move, and they dash toward Beck, hoping to take him down with a coordinated attack. However, their little plan to simultaneously attack him from both sides also fails woefully. Beck grabs them and flings them into the air like they are toys. In the end, none of them were able to touch Beck until the timer finally ran out. The viewers are shocked to see that 12 players were not even able to get Beck away from the circle. Since he has proven his skill, Beck asks the candidates if there is any of them still object, and they all say no. Beck then tells them that this might have only proven his skill as a player, but he will still have to prove his skill as a coach. With this, Beck declares the whole audition open, but to even say the audition's cringe name almost chokes him. With the audition finally kicking off, Songchul asks Nayeon what the first mission on the list is. Nayeon reveals that the players are to show their ability control without modifiers. She explains that it is a simple mission where they have to last at least 3 minutes while holding a 150-kilogram barbell with a given build. The viewers, on the other hand, don't think Nayeon is right about calling the mission simple because they believe that it is pretty hard to use abilities without a modifier. The viewers demand to know what build the candidates will be using, and Songchul mentions that it is an enhancement-type build. Songchul says it might not be as effective as Absolute Being, but it enhances the player's endurance and strength. Nayeon then reveals that she and Songchul already tried it, and it somehow worked out. Nayeon shows them a picture of them trying to prove that she is not lying. However, the picture doesn't really do justice because Nayeon and Songchul look like they were about to die while doing it. Nayeon then tells the candidates to switch their system window to visible before participating in the challenge. Nayeon then asks them if there is anyone with questions. The twins immediately raise their hands, asking relatively the same question, but putting it out in different ways. They ask if there is any advantage to finishing the challenge early, and Songchul mentions that scores are distributed on a sliding scale based on the order of passing, so those who succeed quickly basically have the advantage. Nayeon reveals that the 4 people with the lowest scores will be eliminated at the end of the challenge. The candidates become worried when they hear this, but Nayeon pacifies them by telling them that retreats are allowed. However, the time limit for the first mission is 30 minutes, and this includes practice time. With this, they start the challenge, and everyone immediately gets down to practice, as they aim to warm up. While they are all putting out their best, Songchul asks Beck who he thinks will come out first, and Beck mentions that the twins will be the ones to pass first. However, Nayeon supports another player called LNDB. It then dawns on the viewers that the twins and even LNDB are already used to melee builds, which means that they have no issue lifting heavy things. Suddenly, the chat goes wild because they believe the whole test is disadvantageous to ranged build users. In no time, chaos erupts in the chat, as the viewers claim that the organizers are favoring melee users while looking down on ranged users. Nayeon panics when she sees this, and she starts getting scared that things might get out of hand if she doesn't act quickly. With fear written all over her face, she raises her hand to pacify the viewers, telling them that they must have gotten the wrong idea. Nyan reveals that the second mission is going to be more advantageous to the ranged build users, and this is the reason the first elimination doesn't happen until after the next mission is over. The viewers finally understand that the first category is for the melee users, while the second one is for the ranged build users. The viewers start making fun of Nyan because they can see just how scared she was. Moments later, Nyan asks if there are any challengers yet, and the twins and LNDB come forward. The match begins, and 1 minute into it, the twins are already having a sibling fight, trying to get each other to give up. Just as LNDB is about to reach the 3-minute mark, he drops the barbell. However, the twins make it past the 3-minute mark, making them the first successful candidates. Not ready to give up, LNDB demands a retrial, and he is given one. Fortunately, he is able to pass on to the second round. Meanwhile, Blue Whale is worried that he might get eliminated if he doesn't act soon. He also knows that he is going to suffer a lot of backlash if he doesn't make it to the top 4 after all the rage bait that he has done on his social media page. Just then, the 4th successful candidate is announced, and Blue Whale uses this to kick his plan into motion. Once he is ready, Blue Whale raises his hand to face the challenge. Nyan then tells him to change his system window to visible mode before coming up on the stage. With this, Blue Whale climbs to the stage and, without too much stress, he passes the 2-minute mark. The viewers start hailing him, talking about how they never knew he was talented. However, Beck looks like someone who is not impressed one bit, and this is probably because he has noticed something weird. Just then, Blue Whale passes the 3-minute mark, and just as he is about to step off the stage, Beck stops him, asking him what trick he thinks he is playing. Blue Whale acts dumb, and Beck lets him know that he is aware of the fact that he is on a modifier. The viewers are confused when they hear this because they can clearly see Blue Whale's window, which says he is at 0%. Nyan then asks Beck why he thinks Blue Whale is on a modifier. Beck then reveals that Blue Whale's movements from when he came up to when he held the barbell show that there were changes unique to a modifier system. Beck mentions that he was able to figure this out because Blue Whale's body was being adjusted from its original movements in real time. However, the viewers don't believe Beck because they believe he is on some crazy shit. Even Nyan is forced to whisper in his ear, telling him that there is going to be a big problem if it turns out that he is wrong. Beck replies that he knew what he saw. He then tells Blue Whale to show him his real modifier system instead of the fake one that is being displayed. Blue Whale confidently tells Beck that he can see his modifier on the screen. Blue Whale then tells Beck that everything is not going to end with an apology if it turns out that Beck is wrong. Beck then replies that if it turns out that he is wrong, he's going to apologize. And not only that, he also promises to quit streaming, and he even tells Blue Whale that he is free to take his streaming revenue. With all of these on the line, Beck tells Blue Whale to adjust his modifier system, leaving the dude in a precarious position. Blue Whale then tries messing around with the system, and when it doesn't display what he wants, he claims that it is lagging. Beck cuts him off, telling him that there is no need for further review because he has been disqualified. The viewers are all disappointed when they find out that Beck was right and Blue Whale was really a cheater. Pissed off that he got caught, Blue Whale angrily logs off while cursing the stream. The viewers make fun of him as he logs off, and they apologize to Beck for doubting him. After this, the audition continues, and just as expected, the second mission was centered on the users with ranged builds. This basically helps them to take the top spots in the second test. Those who were not able to make the cutoff marks were disqualified, and they all bowed out in respect, promising to continue cheering for the stream, even though they are out already. Songchul then mentions that they are done with the individual missions, and what they are on to next is the team battle. Nyan mentions that after a 4-on-4 battle, they are going to split up the winning team into 2 and have them go against each other. This means that they are going to be picking a total of 2 candidates in the end. Nyan mentions that there are going to be teams A and B. Basically, the teams are balanced according to their scores on the individual mission. On Team A, they have all ranged users there, and the B team has melee users except for a shy girl, Shuria. For their first mission, they are required to defeat intermediate etnels in the field where they are standing. The team that defeats the most etnels will win the challenge, but they are also not allowed to leave their respective team's field. Nyan mentions that the 2 teams get 2 chances, and whichever score is higher will be recorded as the final result. Songchul lets them know that they are free to use any abilities and builds, but they are going to keep the modifier at 60%. With the explanations out of the way, the candidates get down to the mission. By the end of the first challenge, Team A had defeated 10 etnels while Team B defeated 8 etnels. With this, Team A is ahead, and this is all thanks to their team comprising ranged build users. Basically, ranged builds can focus on firing and taking out the enemies one by one, but the melee build users will find themselves at a disadvantage if they are unable to dispose of their enemies quickly, because the enemies will pile up and overwhelm them. The viewers agree with this, saying the entire thing is a discrimination against melee users. In preparation for the second round,
Sharia tells her teammates that they still don't stand a chance against Team A. Down then suggests that they ask for a little coaching from Baek. LNDB agrees to this, saying they might have a chance, since this will also serve as an opportunity for Baek to show his coaching skills. Even though Dawn wasn't initially expecting the team to agree, they all agree, and Ariam runs over to ask Nayeon if this is possible. Fortunately, Nayeon agrees, but to make everything fair, she reveals that she and Sungchul will also be coaching Team A. Surprisingly, the viewers agree to this because they believe the judges joining in serves as a great incentive. However, Baek says he is only going to agree to the plan when Team A agrees to it. Team A then gathers around to talk about it, and after a short deliberation, they decide that Sungchul will be a better coach for their team because he is a ranged build user. With this, Team A tells the organizers that they are on board with the plan. Nayeon then tells them that the mission is going to resume in 30 minutes. Baek wastes no time gathering his team, and he explains to them that they need to understand the Etanel's traits to effectively take them down. Baek lets them know that Etanels are not humans and they do not fear pain. Basically, if Etanels judge that the damage they can inflict on their opponent is greater than the damage they will incur, they are going to abandon defense and go full-on offense without thinking twice. Baek lets them know that they can predict the Etanel's actions if they are about to figure out these little things. Surprisingly, the viewers are also gaining a whole lot from what Baek is teaching. After he is done explaining to them, Baek suggests that they have a mock battle, and he tells them to attack him, pretending that he is an Etanel. Baek gets into position, and the aura around him immediately changes, even though it is just a mock battle. LNDB is the first to make a move, but Baek catches his sword and sends him flying with a kick to the chest. The twins then take on Baek with their usual plan of attacking him simultaneously. Meanwhile, Sharia remains frozen because she is scared that she might hit her teammates if she misses her shot. While she is busy thinking about this, Baek is beating up her comrades. After knocking down the twins, Baek lets them know that their attacks are not linked. He then suggests that they work on linking their attacks first. While Baek is busy teaching his team, two players from the other team are busy staring at him. The viewers don't blame them because they know they would do the same if they were in their shoes. It takes Nayeon's voice to call back the two, and she assures them that they are going to be fine as long as they practice their own way. 15 minutes later, Team B looks absolutely battered, but they reveal their intention to challenge. In no time the battle begins, and they go after the Etanels without hesitation. Following Baek's instructions, they get themselves ready for counterattacks whenever they are engaging the Etanels. The moment they are able to dodge the counterattacks, they get an opening to finish off the enemy. Earlier, Baek had given Sharia her own share of advice. He lets her know that the team's coordination lies with her because she is the only ranged build user. He lets her know that hesitation to use her skill out of fear of hitting her teammates will only hinder her from getting an opportunity. Just then, one of the Etanels is about to crush LNDB from behind, but Sharia overcomes her fear and impales the Etanel with an ice spear. Sharia then tells her teammates to focus on fighting, assuring them that she is going to cover them from the rear. Everyone, including the judges, are left wondering just how much of a difference Baek's lecture is to the team. By the time the timer runs out, Team B has been able to defeat 14 Etanels in total, and this leaves the viewers commending them for such an incredible comeback. When Team A finally took on their own challenge, they were able to take down 12 Etanels in total. After they are done, Nayeon announces that Team B holds the highest record, which means that they are the winner. The team jumps up in joy when they hear this, celebrating their impressive comeback. Even though Team A lost, they didn't feel really bad because they knew that they tried their best. Before leaving, Team A makes sure to get their share of advice from Baek because he has proven himself as someone who can coach long-range users too. After they are done taking advice from him, Team A logs out, thanking the organizers for the opportunity given. With this, Sungchul mentions that they are finally on to the finals. Since the final will be a 2-on-2 team battle mission, Sungchul reveals that the team will be engaging in a PvP survival competition. He reveals that whichever team survives until the end of the mode wins the challenge. Without stressing out, the teams have decided for themselves already. Just as expected, the twins stick with each other, while Sharia and LNDB are together. Later on, Soyeol is seen working out in the gym when she gets the results for Baek's disciple audition. Just as expected, the twins turn out to be the winners of the event because they have better teamwork. Soyeol is glad that Baek emerged as a coach because she might just get lucky and he is going to pick her team. This gives Soyeol hope that she and Baek might still be able to do another broadcast together soon. Days later, Nayeon and Sungchul resume the regular streaming. The stream starts exactly where the last PvE event ended when Baek was being asked what he plans to do with his authority. Baek replies that he is planning to sweep the reverse planet by himself. Hana is not surprised when she hears this because she knows the type of person Baek is. Hana says Baek has the skills to back it up. Yujin also agrees but mentions that there might be a problem. She then moves closer to Beck to silently tell him to check his messages before he leaves because she has something to tell him, but it sounds awkward. After the two are gone, Beck checks the message from Eugene, telling him that Choi and his men were actually after him. She tells Beck that the League of Enterprises might want something from him, which is why they are probably going to attack him again. She lets Beck know that the Enterprises are aware that they are onto them, so they won't act recklessly, but the Bureau has also planted spies within the Enterprise. Thanks to them, they are going to get a heads up whenever the Enterprises are plotting something. Eugene also attaches a list of portals that Beck can enter solo. When the viewers see this, they are all convinced that an ambush is at hand.
Moments later, a dude shows up and introduces himself as Jung Ji-hoon from the support and assistance team. He tells Beck that he's going to take him to a spot where he can raid solo, and Beck agrees. Not long after this, Ji-hoon drops Beck off at a portal, and he immediately drives off. Beck's senses immediately tell him that he has been surrounded by the enemy because the portal is supposed to have armed guards protecting it, but instead there are dudes hiding out in the bushes. Beck wastes no time summoning his sword, while ascertaining the fact that the assailants are 6 in number. Beck then makes the first move, and he goes after the weakest, who is hiding out in a tree.
Beck is about to cut the dude in half when the team leader shows up to protect his team member. He delivers a powerful punch to send Beck flying backwards. Realizing that Beck is onto them, the assailants step out from where they are hiding. The team leader commends Beck, telling him that his senses are pretty sharp. He then addresses Beck with his new test subject number, which is 48. This is enough to piss Beck off, and he asks the dude if he is from the Enterprise. The dude is surprised that Beck already knows this, and he decides to keep things brief. He tells Beck that they are there to return him to the lab, letting Beck know that they are ready to cultivate his abilities with proper experiments. This only pisses Beck off more, and he tells the dude to keep his mouth shut. The team leader gives off an evil smirk, telling Beck that he is to blame for what is about to happen to him. The 6 immediately whip out their weapons. One of them lunges at Beck, but he easily blocks his punch before pushing him backwards. Another tries to attack him from behind, but Beck hits the dude on the head to finish him off. Even though it appears that they are at a disadvantage, the team leader tells his team to continue pushing, with the aim of taking Beck down. They all lunge at him at once, but Beck easily knocks all of them down. Beck feels no sense of threat from them, and the viewers are not surprised by this. After all, Beck's level is high now, and the assailants are nothing to him. Realizing that Beck is way above their league, the team leader screams at his teammates to take something called TL-01. This leaves the viewers confused because they have never heard of something like that before. Even Sungchul had to search it up on the net, but nothing came up. It then dawns on them that Beck has caused the game to generate a new branch of the story. The assailants whip out a pill, and they tell Beck that he is going to regret making them take the pill. Even Beck has never heard of the pill before, and he figures out that he has to be careful. The moment the assailants take the pill, they start acting weird, and their bodies change into purplish color. This is when it dawns on everyone that the assailants now look like the invader that Beck fought back then. The chat goes wild because they are worried that Beck won't be able to take on 4 invaders by himself. Before Beck knows it, one of them has dashed toward him. Beck manages to dodge at the last second, and the strike from the dude leaves the ground shattered. The viewers freak out when they see how much power one pill is able to provide the user. Beck is forced on the defensive as the assailants try to get the better of him. Sungchul then mentions that the assailants have not only gotten stronger, but it appears that their behavior is strange too. Sungchul reveals that the assailants have completely become different, as if they have lost their emotions. As the battle proceeds, Beck gets punched so hard that he is sent flying backwards. With the way the assailants are moving, Sungchul can easily figure out that they are behaving like they are being controlled by something else entirely. Beck realizes that things have gotten so much different because the 4 are now acting like invaders. Beck figures out that he has to end the battle as fast as he can so that he can conduct an investigation into what is happening. He dashes toward the 4, and one of them unleashes a wave of flame at him, but he cuts it down. The viewers are shocked by how fast and precisely Beck is because he is able to cut down flames too. As he progresses toward the enemies, they try to stop him by using stones, but Beck is on a rampage already. He easily cuts through everything thrown at him to continue moving forward. Realizing that Beck is not messing around, the team leader orders his men to corner Beck, and they try to take him down with a joint attack. However, this is just useless against Beck, who delivers a precise cut to everything thrown at him. He cuts down their attacks while also taking them down. Beck leaves the team leader alive, and by the time he knows what is happening, Beck appears behind him. Beck knocks him down with a strike to the neck. The chat starts popping off about just how impressive Beck is because the assailants couldn't even touch him, even though they were juiced up. With the team leader incapacitated, Beck grabs him with the intention of questioning him. However, blood starts coming out of the dude's nose as he talks about how the drug isn't supposed to do this to them.
Before Beck can get the chance to question him, the dude dies off. Beck wonders if the medicinal effect of the drug got messed up, since the dude claimed that the drug wasn't supposed to act that way. Since the drug didn't exist in the other world, Beck concludes that he has to look further into it. He searches their bodies, but he doesn't find anything useful from their bodies. Moments later, Hana and Yujin show up on the scene. They apologize for coming late, but Beck assures them that it is fine. On the other hand, the viewers are excited to see the story expanding, and it turns out that the community is already going wild over the TL01 pill. Beck then asks the ladies how they knew where he was. Hana mentions that moments after he left, they received intel that the hunting dogs were going to make a move. They decided to ask Ji-hoon, who drove him from the headquarters, and pointed them in the opposite direction. After this, the dude quit his job, revealing that he was a spy. Nonetheless, they were able to trace the dashcam of the car, which is how they got to know where Beck is. Yujin apologizes once again, telling Beck that she's going to make sure that he gets compensated, but Beck lets him know that it is not necessary. Later on, the viewers notice that Beck is not heading to Kim Chul's office like he is supposed to. Deep down, Beck is thinking about the whole situation, and he figures out that the game's story is changing depending on the choices that he makes. He figures out that the game is there to help him get clues about what happened in the other world. He decides to investigate the core while also putting a stop to the League of Enterprises. To everyone's surprise, Beck starts changing his build, and judging from what they are looking at, they realize that it is not a melee build. The viewers are left wondering if Beck is good with any other build that isn't a melee build. Moments later, Beck finds the build that he previously used in the other world before he was given the superhuman title. He activates the build, generating a ton of flames around his body, leaving the viewers excited. Even though Beck doesn't know the lab that created the drug, he knows the corporation that is connected to the lab because he has attacked this corporation before, and this is Gumshin Electronics. The viewers are shocked when they see Beck make his way to Gumshin Electronics, and they start wondering if Beck is trying to attack the building all by himself. It finally dawns on Sungshul that Beck changed his build before attacking because he knows that no one will suspect him as long as he didn't use a melee build while taking down the corporation. One of the viewers mentioned that Beck is finally going after the corporations because they have been messing with him. Before making his move, Beck also changed his appearance to silver hair, making him look totally different. Beck also puts on a mask, and without wasting further minutes, he barges into the building. Beck decides to go all out from the beginning because he is not there to mess around with them. Minutes later, chaos erupts in the building as Beck sets upon them a devastating level of destruction. Even though Beck looks really cool as he deals with the bad guys, some believe that he shouldn't have barged into the building the way he did. Nayeon is worried that the other players in the area might get involved, but Sungshul explains that the phase shift system was activated when the entrance exploded. With this, the corporate raid became exclusive to Beck alone. Apparently, the phase shift system separates players into different spaces, depending on the circumstances or events. With this, players cannot see or interact with each other even if they are on the same map. Beck soon runs into another bunch of bad guys, and he easily disarms them with telekinesis. Beck is making his way to a secret door that he knows from the other world when he is cut off by a stern-looking dude and his team. It turns out that Beck recognizes the dude, Won Yongshul. He was one of the guards who was always messing with the test subjects in the lab. The moment he lays his eyes on one, the ghosts emerge and start begging Beck to kill him in the most brutal way. One is still calling out orders for his team when the ceiling starts coming down on them. This disorients one's men as they try to figure out why the ceiling suddenly collapsed, but unknown to them, it is due to Beck's power. Basically, this was the reason he was called Destruction in the other world. One quickly figures out that Beck is not to be messed with, and he orders his men to take the fight seriously. He tells his men to attack Beck at the same time, but Beck doesn't even move an inch before impaling all of them with spikes, making the scene look like one drawn out of a horror movie. Well guys, that's the end of the video. If you like this video, comment part 2 in the comment section. Also subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and like the video. Thank you for watching and see you next time again.